Roy and HG on Triple M.
Thanks very much indeed. Sunil DPP Vergaskar in the All India studio here at Delhi in the Triple M soundproof booth. It's tremendous to be hooking up with Sunil, as we will be over the next fortnight or so, bringing you all the excitement, all the colour, all the glamour, all the drama, all the highlights, all the lowlights of these magnificent games. Hello, Australia! Welcome to the shocks of your life. Welcome to Triple M's coverage of the Commonwealth Games for 2020. It's been an old-fashioned Aussie gold rush since the balloon cleared the guttering and the gun went bang after the opening ceremony. I mean, everyone here in Delhi is living the dream. That's the first thing we have to communicate loud and clear. Roy and I are living the dream. The whole Australian team is living the dream. Busted-ass countries who've never done anything before in their lives are living the dream. Yes, Australia, you are living the dream, except for, obviously, Nick Darcy, who's dug deep into a subcontinental bowel-infused nightmare. That's the only way I can see it. Obviously the pasta is blasting, put it that way. And still, look, highlights. Obviously, I don't want to tread on Roy's toes here, but Australia's first gold in team gymnastics. It took 32 years, but it was oh so sweet when it lobbed. Congratulations, boys. It was a tremendous effort. Team gymnastics is now Australia's #1 sport at any Olympic/Commonwealth Games meet. The lowlight, of course, was Ryan Cochrane winning the 400 metres free. Canadian, enough said, 400 metres free. Remember how we used to dominate the 400? Remember the big-footed one, Ian Thorpe? He made that event his own. Now a Canadian says he's better than Thorpe. The 400 metres free for the first time in 72 years we've been running these Commonwealth Games. A Canadian has never stood at the top, has never podiumed in the event, and now all of a sudden they've got gold dangling around the neck. Yes, this is a terrific event. Made no mistake, it's an absolute ball terror from start to finish. But now a man who's been living the green and gold dream since lobbing in Delhi, he's been literally blown away by what he's seen here in the few short hours. Rampaging Roy Slaven, welcome to the Aussie Games. What has caught your eye here in India in 2010, buddy?
Yes, thank you very much, Ashley Nelson. Hello, everyone in Australia, and what is an astounding game so far, and it's been really refreshing. Look, can I just say there are a number of things that have been world-class here in New Delhi. I think the opening ceremony was world-class, and if India was to get the Olympic Games, you would imagine they couldn't do better than that. It was Olympic standard, and the pool. I'm blown away by this swimming centre. Right. It's of Olympic standard. I'm blown away by the various stadia we've been to, the tennis courts. They are of Olympic standard. Yes. And wherever we've gone, people have been immensely friendly. Not that we've seen many people, we haven't. No. I'm led to believe that India has a tremendous population, 1 billion people, some have said. Well, the question is, where are they? We've been watching this afternoon a terrific tennis match between Matthew Ebden, Australia's #3, and he looks a bit of an up-and-comer, this bloke, against someone from a busted-ass country. I don't know the country. His name's Ogia. But he, like Ebden, looked as if he didn't want to win. And so it's been a tremendous match with, if people like, balls being hit out, and in some occasions, balls being totally missed, which I rarely see in a game of tennis at this level. Seeing the ball bounce up, only to see the racket either go completely underneath it or completely over the top of it. It's always refreshing to see, I was going to say professionals, making the sorts of mistakes you as an amateur might make. It makes people more, happier about their own games, I suspect. But it's been fabulous to see these sorts of quality events, but very disappointing not to see many locals at all.
Enjoying it.
And, the few we've seen have been loving it. Yeah. They've been saying to me, Olympic standard, Roy, Olympic standard. And I've had to say, yes, well, pretty much. Apart from the balls up with the scales of the boxing weigh-in.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Let's talk a little bit about the crowds. The most people we've seen here, are largely Australians who have found their way here.
Well, I've seen Anthony Hudson and Nicole Livingston. I saw them at the pool. They were definitely there. So that was 2. Yeah, 2. And they appeared to have a job.
Yes, that's right. That seems to be the bulk of the... I saw Liz Ellis and Luke Darcy at the netball.
Well, did they have a job?
They had a job.
Yeah, they appeared to be talking to a camera.
They were talking to a camera, and sometimes they were talking to each other.
Yes.
Luke, I don't mean to be unkind, did less of the talking. Mercifully, Liz, who knows a bit about the caper, was holding him up and making him look good.
Yeah.
But
Well, I said to Nicole, I said, "Are you enjoying the swimming?" She said, "Sorry, Roy, I'm working." And I was the only other person there at the pool at the time. Because I wanted to say, where's Bill Woods? And apparently Bill's back in Sydney.
is that right?
He's in Australia. He's not. I mean, you get the illusion.
That he's there?
Yes.
I was expecting to bump him at the Plymouth bar
yes, in New Delhi. I expected to see him too. That was the first thing I said to Nicole once she went to a commercial break, as she called it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Where's Bill Woods?" Because he's been looking terrific since we've been watching him at home. She said, "Oh, no, he's back home. He's in Sydney."
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't television incredible?
Technology, it's unbelievable.
It is
I didn't
unbelievable.
realise you could do that these
Yes.
days. Now, look, what's happened with the crowds is they think, obviously they forgot to do the obvious thing of raping school children. And I think the committee heard some comments we might have made in other programs before we arrived, saying school children are a great source of, gap fillers
Yes.
in a crowd. Well, basically they would be the whole crowd. I don't think it'd be unfair to go to the school, the primary school, say the Delhi North Primary School, and say, look, we want a few gap fillers. That's not what they're asking for anymore. We want you to be the crowd. Can you deliver?
Well, that puts too much pressure on the kids, and I tell you what, it puts too much
pressure.
pressure on on the teachers as well to try and control them. Kids, shut up and watch the swimming.
Yeah. Look,
or watch the shuttlecock.
Yeah. Now, look, can I just point out that swimming isn't necessarily a huge sport here. I don't mean to be unkind. I'm not knocking India. And
it's hard to say what the Indians like, isn't it?
Exactly.
They
now,
don't like swimming.
I don't want these comments back in Australia taken out of context, that HG's gone out on a limb and said the Indians don't like swimming. Yeah. It's not their natural first choice as a sport. No. Obviously, cricket, and thank goodness.
Cricket is, and are we going to get this gold medal?
It looks as though we're going to medal in at least
the
get
Test
gold.
cricket.
Yeah, there's only two nations turned up, Australia and India.
Yeah.
And that does look as though it is pulling a bit of a crowd, a modest crowd. I think it's a fair way north of here. Yes, where we are. Now, look, the other thing is swimming. I believe if the organisers had done it properly and gone to the schools maybe on Friday and said, can you teach the basics of swimming? It's too hard to teach school kids over the weekend the basics of tennis because they're just going to look idiots applauding in the wrong spot. They think missing the ball's right, all that sort of stuff. Yes. Swimming, it's much easier. The person in front is winning. And so go wild, pick a country, support the country, all those sort of
Well, you might
things.
find a couple of local swimmers. I saw a couple of Indian swimmers this morning.
What were they lost?
Well, they didn't win anything, but they accredited them. They
look professional?
They didn't drown.
The kids, sadly, have been the people overlooked in this. They've got almost everything right, except the crowd.
Yeah.
I did notice that...
Do people know it's on, HG?
No.
Not that I've seen many locals around New Delhi at all. It appears there's no one here
a lot
at
of
all.
army.
Yeah, a lot of army. I had a lot of people with guns.
Yeah, they
in a uniform.
Well, sadly, I'm not sure that they're all army, having said that.
No.
Just a lot of people with guns.
Yes.
Now, India's best-selling author, Chetan Bhagat, wrote in the Times of India, the Games were the biggest and most blatant exercise in corruption in independent India's history. That's a hell of a call.
Bloody hell.
And called on people to stay away as a protest against bribery and sleaze.
Is that why people are staying away?
I haven't spoken
bribery and sleaze. What's the sleaze component? Bribery, I understand.
Yeah.
It's the sleaze bit.
No, I'm lost on the sleaze because I haven't seen any yet. No. But I'm hoping tonight, when I get out and about and sort of start relaxing at the Char Bar, I'll see plenty of sleaze down there. Bhagat believes many Indians don't want to be part of the event after the allegations of graft and incompetence. Matt Wade got all of this for the Fairfax people back in Australia.
Yes.
There's no organised movement against the Games, but I think many people feel queasy about going.
Queasy?
Queasy.
Well, they might get sick.
Well, I think queasy as in compromised morally.
Oh.
Sort of, I don't know about this. You know how you feel sometimes?
Feel awkward, yeah.
Yeah, I've sort of...
Forbidden pleasure style.
Yeah, I shouldn't be looking at this
sleazy, isn't it?
I'm looking at this, I was going to say, I'm looking at Cole Livingston in a whole new way.
Yeah.
Because she's working with Hutto.
Hutto, yeah.
They're the only people here and they've got a job.
I tell you what, if the kids didn't want to come and if people don't want to come, why don't they let the monkeys in?
Roy and HG on Triple M.
This is the shocks of your life here on Triple M, live from New Delhi. Now, when we get out to the Char Bar tonight, Roy, for a couple of beverages, are you expecting to meet Indians at them?
I hope so. I hope to meet Indians. Mm-hmm. I want to have an Indian beer.
Ah, yes. Well, there are many of those.
There are many of those.
And just on that, there's a couple
Indian beer with Indians. That's what I want. To talk about things. Talk about the games. Talk about logistics. And talk about their administrative difficulties.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, look, obviously in previous games, they, the athletes kicked up their heels at the China Bar or the China Doll in Beijing and the Last Lap Club in Melbourne.
That's right.
But security here in Delhi is so tight that athletes kicking up their heels have found a little tiny austere bar in the village, which Ben Offerins, a 400-metre run, says it's like a lawn bowls function room. One of the Australian...
No, he's not being derogative there, is he? Because lawn bowls, some of those lawn bowls clubs in Australia are fabulous
substantial,
places.
aren't they? Substantial.
And fun
Oasis.
places. They can go off.
Mm-hmm.
They can go off.
You know, almost every Saturday night they do a version of Running Bear at 11 o'clock.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And that can be, that can
Running
be fun.
Bear, dove in the water.
Yeah.
Little white dove. Did this. It's just incredible, isn't it?
Well...
And I hope they do that at the Char Bar tonight.
Well, I hope they do it. When they do it at the Char Bar, it's got the in the raw. Running Bear in the raw. You know,
they know that already,
funny,
don't they?
It's funny. You know.
Now, look, obviously the Australians are working around the problem of the lawn functions bowls room. They're sneaking their own vodka into the village. But having said that, the rules in Delhi this week that you have to be 25 to drink.
Oh, dear.
Mark Ella retired at 25, Sachin Tendulkar playing Test cricket, etc. The Australian women's hockey team have just 6 players over 25. Their captain, Madonna Blythe, 24, is not one of them. The girls have taken the news philosophically. It certainly surprised us when we heard the news.
Yeah.
If we win, we might have to wait a few days before get home, back to Australia for the celebrations.
Yeah, but Monaghan could get around that somehow, couldn't he? Couldn't he buy a few slabs and just take it back to the village for the kids?
Where it's international rules.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
No, they'll get around that, I feel sure. And the Indians are very understanding in the end. You know, you just got to pay the right bloke at the right time. Simple as that. That should be all right. That'll be tickety-boo.
Now, coming to this problem with...
As long as you don't feel queasy about it.
No, it's usually something else that makes you feel queasy.
Yeah, sure.
Queasy. Now, coming to the problem of the boxing weigh-in, and you alerted me to this when you walked in and, you know, you were sort of worried about something about some of the early numbers that came out. But Jeff Fennick and Johnny Lewis, they're bewildered at the weigh-in. The weigh-ins were postponed for a day after it was revealed the scales were faulty. Crash got this for the Murdoch people, prompting wild verbal exchanges between coaches and administrator. Many boxers, including several Australians, panicked and rushed to the sauna after the weighing in above their limits.
Yes, trying to lose 7 kilos.
7 kilos. Well, 7 kilos would be a trick overnight.
That is a heavy thing to do.
I tell you what, you need a bit of help.
Well, you've got to lose a limb.
Well, that's not bad. Or get on some of that pasta that they have here that really
the gastric
explodes.
pasta.
The gastric pasta really does explode from the back door.
It does, doesn't it?
Even, obviously I had a taste, a bit of a mouthful just to see what it was like. Italian food in India. I thought, hello, something new.
Yes.
It's got to be tried. Big mistake.
You can see why Warney brings his own beans, can't you?
You can, and he cooks his naan bread in the toaster in the hotel room.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, it was revealed the scales. They 50 kilogram test weight was weighed in at 51.43 kilograms.
Yeah.
So if you're a 100 kilogram boxer, not many of them, but you're up over about 3 kilos overweight.
Yeah.
But this does, 100-metre track. Are you worried that it's a full 100 metres, obviously?
Well, you doubt everything, don't you? Suddenly that pool looked a little bit longer today.
It does. Tell you what,
I said to you when I first saw it, I said, this looks like 101 metres to me.
Well, 100. I think you were more exact than that. 100.98.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And I know Emily Seabomb, the Seabomb.
Well,
she was totally thrown out. It threw out her
whole
rhythm.
Preparation.
Yeah.
And she's dudded again today. Well, she hadn't dudded, but she struggled in her heat today.
She's struggling because of the pool.
That extra bit.
It's not Seabomb compliant, obviously.
I've never heard anything like it in all my 50 years of involvement with boxing, said Johnny Lewis. I feel sorry for the kids because before a fight, this is about the biggest setback you can have.
The last thing you want to be worried about throwing a punch is whether I'm too heavy or not.
That's true. That's true.
Or have I lost too much weight now because I panicked?
Well, these are finely tuned athletes.
They
boxers.
are.
I mean,
People just think it's getting out there, putting gloves on, and hitting someone. There's a
not.
hell of a lot more than that to an HG.
It is indeed. Now, the biggest setback, obviously, you're so finely tuned. Don Abnett, a new name. And that's the great thing about these games is we're unearthing heaps of new names. People have never heard of Don Abnett, but he's a great boxing administrator.
Exactly.
I see him cut from very much the same cloth as Arthur Tunstall.
Yes.
A person who knows his boxing, who does everything he can to promote Australian boxing and gets very little in return. He says, I've never seen anything like it. Our Bulls were really down and worried.
Yeah.
And they're going to get a real telling off from the coach for going overweight. You can see it happening now. Stand on the spot.
What have you been doing?
Yeah.
Pie boy.
Yeah, when all they are along, they're fine. We bought our own calipers from the AIS and have been monitoring the boys. They're absolutely spot on. They're shocked by the readings.
Yeah.
Two of them went over
Hang
700
on.
grams overweight.
What does he mean, calipers?
Well, I think that's to measure skin folds and tests.
Oh,
They're not
yeah.
putting on weight,
But that doesn't measure your weight. You
Yeah,
can't
but it's
measure.
very
It's a very
precise.
rough thing using calipers to assess weight when you're coming down to grams, HG.
Grams, I agree. But generally, 700 grams.
Yes.
Well, that's obviously over half a kilogram.
Yes.
Hell of a change.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is.
You'd have to
it
really-
is. But are you telling me a caliper's going to pick that up?
Yes, in a skin fold test.
Oh, okay.
700 grams it would.
Oh, 700 grams, sure.
Not 7 grams, obviously. No. You can
no.
blow your nose. at least
0.7 of a gram.
Oh, it might do that.
You can shove your caliper.
Now, what was interesting was Abnett said that mercifully they've organised a second weigh-in. I think that's going to be for the morning bouts.
Yeah.
It's a farce. But there's not a lot you can do about it. It's very philosophical. I've never seen this before. I thought last year when I witnessed a bloke in Victoria win a fight with one arm, I'd see it and all, but this even tops that. What about that? Must have been Roy.
That must have been an incredible fight, that one.
Have we got any one-arm fighters here?
Not to my knowledge. But it does throw open a new sport, doesn't it?
Yeah, one-arm boxing.
One-arm boxing.
And I hope it's not a Paralympic sport, or, obviously a disabled sport, if I've got the right term there.
All right.
I hope it's a main event. People just...
Oh, you got to glove up with both hands, but just tuck one inside the short.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Chisel. Don't they love chisel here in India?
They love
Roy?
chisel everywhere, don't they? But in New Delhi, it's a chisel sort of town.
It is indeed. We're obviously earlier today just having lunch, and Chisel came over the restaurant.
Yeah.
PA. People just stood and applauded,
They did,
recognising that we were Australians.
That's right.
It was unbelievable. Now, the medal tally, Roy. Look, can I just say how proud I am to see Australia on 4 gold?
Yes.
Obviously, the host nation, you would expect them to be up there as well. They're on 2.
Yep.
And then it starts to dribble away rather attractively down to Trinidad and Tobago, who have 1 bronze by the looks.
Yeah.
Are you at all worried that, this, what would I call it, the English, and can I point out that England now have 4 silver?
Yeah.
If I'm reading that chart correctly.
You are.
4 silver. Are you at all worried about the English, so-called the English tilt?
Yes, I am, because this is very important to England. This is let's face it, it's a dress rehearsal for London, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's what I was trying to get to.
If we could keep them absolutely gold medalists, that would be fantastic. Give us a great psychological edge. It's a pity Nick Darcy is, bummed out so appallingly, and let's put it down to that bout of gastric he had due to that spaghetti dish that he had the other night that everyone warned him not to have, but he just blew it out within about 15 seconds of consuming it, and it weakened him greatly, and he lost something like 2 or 3 kilos, HG, I think, as a result of that bowel work. He did. But anyway, putting that to one side, at this stage we've kept England without a gold medal, and that's after one day.
I know.
You
We
know,
only have to keep that going for the next 10.
You got it.
And we're there.
Yeah, you got it.
They'll
You
be
got
going-
it. We're in the second day now.
Mhm.
Wherefore, they're naught. I'm liking it.
Now, emails have been flooding in since, we set up here the HQ of the Shocks of Your Life here in Delhi.
Yep.
A lovely email here from Dave. All this talk of cobras at the Commonwealth Games has me thinking, are we making enough use of our own wildlife to unsettle visiting sporting teams?
Oh, yes.
As Steve Monaghetti was quick to point out, our snakes are at least as venomous as any Indian serpent, and that's why he's chef de mission. He doesn't let anything go past him. India
He's across reptiles, isn't he?
cross reptiles. India trying to get one up on us with their snake gear.
Yes.
I back.
I'd
our-
back a Taipan any day.
Well, and our deadly browns.
Oh, bloody hell, those browns can really put you away.
And as Dave says, he'd back the dingo against any Delhi stray dog.
Yes.
A few tiger snakes surreptitiously slipped into the Paraguay dressing room this Sunday, or a dingo in the team hotel might change the whole complexion of the match. Could be just the edge the soccer soldiers need. So Dave's thinking, and I'm just wondering if, the powers that be in the Commonwealth Games organisation should, if the games went to the Gold Coast, be sure that Ronnie Clark and the crew there on the Gold Coast would be supplying the appropriate snakes.
Yeah, snakes, and let's not forget redbacks, HG. Let's not
Redbacks.
forget funnel
Funnel
webs.
webs, yeah.
Funnel webs can really unsettle someone if...
Anachrophobes.
well, indeed. If you've got, say, a young British swimmer,
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, perfect.
and you say to her, listen, I've just got to brush this funnel web off you. God, you were lucky then. You were nearly killed. Okay, good luck with your event. When are you on? Oh, now. Off you go. They hate that.
Perfect.
It's perfect.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
And at the Velodrome, right at this very moment, I think we're almost up to Anna Mears getting out and peddling for gold. in the 500 metres time trial. At the moment, it's Jenny Davis on top. Alison Shanks in second place. Anna Bligh. I should point out that Jenny Davis is from Scotland, of all places. Mercifully, Shanksy is an Australian. Then we got Bligh in third place at the moment. He's British.
Yes.
I mean, who said, the home counties or whatever they're called I don't think that's the right term.
No, it's not. But let's say you mean those sort of
Busted
areas just outside England,
Yeah.
but part of the island. They should be able to cycle.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree with
500 metres time trial. Anna Mears is our best chance for another gold on day 2 of competition.
Gee, I tell you what, the Indians love their cycling, don't they? Look at those crowds. Look at those pictures we're getting from 10 of the crowds, HG.
And they're shot so as you can see most of the crowd.
I know.
You know, the weird thing about it is, obviously, I didn't think it was a good idea, but you rented a car.
Yeah.
And getting around Delhi is a breeze, isn't it? Because
Mm.
they obviously recognise we're connected with the coverage of the games.
Yes.
We can park anywhere.
Yes.
I mean, we drove right up to the front door, got out, parked it, and left it there.
I know.
And no one seemed to bat an eyelid.
No.
It was just
No,
fantastic.
it's phenomenal, isn't it?
It was refreshing.
It is refreshing. And I tell you what, the RTA types back home could do well to come and have a look at Delhi, with a view to looking at, the traffic problems we hear about in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane.
Especially over that long weekend they just had.
Yes.
Now, in certain parts of Australia.
Yeah.
Now, look, the Vuvuzela's back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm disappointed that I saw a couple of people trying to get a Vuvi in,
Yes.
and they were largely told to, sort of shove it up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm hopeful that when it comes to some of the more, the larger venues, like when they, say at the hockey or at the
tennis.
athletics or the tennis, that they'll be Vuvuzela compliant.
Right.
And people will be able to bring them in. Premier Brands here have launched a few 100 million Vuvuzelas onto the market a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And they went so quickly that they had to order in another couple of million.
Is that for the cricket, though, for the IPL HU when it gets going? Is
It
that
would
where-
be.
Yeah.
That's terrific. But I hope they cross-pollinate with it because
Yeah.
the sound of the buzzing bee.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful sound.
We're
to
missing
watch
that at
birds.
Chandahar, the images we've had, HG, of, I don't know quite how the Aussies are going there. We'll try and get a score before the end of the hour. Because I think India needed something like 30-odd runs.
And
with
Australia needed 3 wickets.
Two
wickets. Yes.
Yeah, so it's a close-run thing, but we'll try and get a result on that.
Would
but
you-
I haven't heard of Venezuela, but nor have I seen many crowds there. I suppose Delhi's
Do you reckon-
dragging everyone in.
Yeah, that's that's right. That's where they've been going.
Yeah.
People who have an interest in these things are obviously here.
Yes.
I
Have you got
been-
to pay to get tickets, HG? Is that the thing? Is that what's holding people? How expensive are the tickets?
Well, you must have read
I
my
thought
mind.
4 or 5 rupees would get you into.
Well, I've been told, and I don't have this source because obviously you and I get passes that allow us access
Yes.
all area because we're working
We've got
on the media.
accreditation.
Yeah, with Shocks of Your Life has, obviously when people heard that we were doing the show, they just entree everywhere.
Yes.
I've been told, don't quote me on this and don't hit me, that the tickets for even something like the netball, I shouldn't have said that quite right, for a premier sport like netball,
Oh, yes.
which is obviously talks to Indians,
Yes.
between $50 and $1,000 Australian.
Gee, it's good value, though, isn't it?
Brilliant value.
It's good
Because you
value.
see,
That's only about, 10 years' wages?
what do you mean 10 years' wages? Only for a certain section of the community.
Oh, I understand that. For a lot of the community, it's a lifetime savings.
It's a lifetime of income. $50 and $1,000. And of course, but you do.
Is
see
that to cover costs, HG? I suppose it would be, wouldn't it?
Well, it's cost them a lot to put on.
Yeah.
And can I point out that? But look at what you get to see. You see stars, Australian stars. Like
Well,
at
you
the cycling,
do.
Anna Mears,
And you do.
and at the
And-
netball.
and
You
I
see
tell you-
Catherine Cox.
Yeah, I know.
Catherine
I know.
Cox.
I know Catherine Cox. And I tell you, an astonishing thing for a lot of Indians to see, HG. And I think a few of the people we've seen, let's not say it's a crowd, let's say the few of the people we've seen at some of the
Officials.
events. Officials and 1 or 2 people have actually bought tickets and are sitting there. The most
Millionaires.
astounding thing for them is not the events themselves, it's seeing so many empty seats. In India, you never see that.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
On the Shocks of Your Life. And sanity has been restored, Roy, in the cycling, at least for temporarily.
Our number 2's gone to number 1,
Exactly.
with Anna Mears yet to come.
And 500 metres time trial.
Yes.
And we're just tearing it up.
We are tearing it up, isn't it? I mean, yes, as you're right, normalcy has been restored. HG, on the other side, looks like India might be going to get the gold medal in the cricket. They need roughly 12 runs. They've still got 2 wickets, and they've got the rest of the day.
I know.
Sad, isn't it?
It's very sad.
I would have thought Bollinger might have come in, or Mitchell Johnson, chip in.
Well, they don't realise that they're playing for gold, I think. The message hasn't got through to
No,
Chandra.
maybe not.
Now, look, tonight, of course, or later today, we've got tremendous amount of sport coming up here in the on the subcontinent.
Yep.
At the moment, we've got the 500-metre time trial with Anna Mears and obviously Kerry Mears as well riding. I think that we've got swimming tonight. Yep. The 200 metres free.
Yep.
That's on around about 9:30 p.m.
Yep.
We've got men's Greco-Roman wrestling. I'm not sure that we do have a competitor here, but I'd like to think so. If we've got a one-arm boxer, surely we can get somebody up who could prepare to put the socks down the front of the Speedos and have the dog.
Have a grope.
And have a grope on behalf of Australia, the green and gold. And the women's artistic gymnastics final is on from 10 p.m. Yeah. And just before we go, can I highlight again the incredible achievement by our men's athletics team of Thomas, Sam, Josh, Prasanth, Luke, who trailed England by 0.6 of a 5 as they headed onto the rings. But solid routines on the board by Pilcher and Jeffries, Alfred and Salathura ensured Australia improved on their 3 silver, 3 bronze medals in the past and made it to the top of the podium. It's a tremendous story. And don't tell me that hadn't got the makings of a film, Roy.
It has got the makings of a film, and I think we've got another Aussie up to the top in the 500-metre time trials here with the cycling 2HG. So it looks like it could be Australia 1, 2, 3. And wouldn't that be a perfect way to end this show today?
It certainly would. Join us tomorrow for more Shocks of Your Life here from Delhi on Triple M. Bye now.
Roy and HG on Triple M. Roy and HG on Triple M.
Yes. Thanks very much indeed. Sunil DPP Vansaka from All India Radio in the Triple M Subcontinental Soundproof booth. Hello, Australia. Welcome to the Shocks of Your Life, live from Delhi. Live from Delhi. It's another magnificent day here on day 2 of competition. I mean, have you caught the fever? Have you got it running through your veins? And I'm not talking about dengue fever. I'm talking about green and gold fever. Welcome to Triple M's coverage of the games of 2010. The Aussie Gold Rush continued on day 2 of competition here in Delhi. Our golden shower is well and truly underway, and everybody is being cleansed. It was briefly halted, I might say, in the pool, but the scores from other venues, shuttlecock, mixed pool Group A. I love a mixed pool at the Cock. Australia 5, Nigeria nothing. Blot, don't argue, zilch, 0. Read it and weep. We're on top in the Cock. Gymnastics, the bloke did it, or the blokes did it, and now the girls have artistic gold. Emily, Ashley, Lauren and Georgia put away the Indians to extend a golden streak in the artistic that began way back in 1998. Women's hockey, Australia 11. Trinidad and Tobago, nothing. Don't argue. Blot. Zip. Why bother coming? And what has gone wrong with TNT hockey? Roy and I have spent most of the afternoon locked away on an in-depth probe. Netball and the Aussie Diamonds put away India in a tidy 113 to 18. 113 to 18. They don't come much closer than that in netball. I was trying to do the maths. I think at the rate that Australia was scoring, the idea that they could score 2 points every minute is now their ambition in each match from here on in. And today's name for the Black Book, because she'll be a star tomorrow, Leiston Pickett. Spelling Leiston. Pickett, as in Wilson. Crazy name, crazy swimmer in the 50-metre breaststroke. The C-bomb has not yet exploded in the pool, and Slimline Skippy is still to get warm in the 50 metres fly. Yes, Australia, you're living the dream. But now a man who believes that workers who were paid bugger all to build the joint should be the first to get seats when the organisers come to their senses and start handing out freebies. That is freebie tickets to the workers. It's a brilliant idea from this bloke rampaging Roy Slavin. Roy, the Aussie tilters struck big golden nuggets once again. What's caught your eye overnight here in India 2010? Sonny Jim?
Yes, thanks very much, Harbish and Harry. Harbish and Harry, there's a name.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Look, actually, it's been a wonderful, as you say, wonderful 24 hours. Something that's got right up my nose is the suggestion, and I know it's true and I know it's real, and that is that England have been able to choose their own national anthem should they win a gold.
What?
So they've chosen Jerusalem.
They don't go with God Save the Queen?
No, they've chosen Jerusalem.
I thought they should have chosen We Are the Champions.
Yes, they could have done that.
Freddie
and I
Mercury.
don't know whether Scotland have chosen Donald Where's Your Trousers. I just don't know, and I don't know why the Australians haven't been able to choose their own anthem.
Can you give us
Shut
an-
up your face.
Or
I like it both ways.
Yeah, down under.
Yeah.
Now, look, can I just ask, Donald, where's your trousers?
Yes.
Can you just give us a flavour of it, should they ever win gold?
Or is it let the wind go high, let the wind go low?
Fair
that sort
enough.
of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Something in away we go.
Donald, where's your trousers?
Donald, where's your trousers? It's a great song. Might have been somebody Stewart who made it a hit all those years ago.
Andy Stewart?
Andy Stewart, yeah.
Oh.
Couldn't he strut?
He could.
Couldn't he strut in a kilt?
Well, why haven't they
I
brought
tell
it
you what,
back?
he wouldn't look weird here.
No. Well, no one looks
No
weird
one
here.
looks weird here because there's
no
no
one's
one here. Now, Skippy Hugel's night. Oh, this could be Skippy Hugel's night. We're all praying for you, Skip.
Yeah.
Skippy Hugel is on tonight.
I just hope that we're not putting
This
too
is
much
redemption.
weight on him.
No, we're not putting too much weight on him or expectation at all.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't get gold, he's just a loser.
Mm-hmm.
Now, having said that, I'm sure he knows. I mean, he'd take that in the way it's given, i.e. a bit of a touch-up. Keep your mind focused, Skip. You know, you've been off the pies for a long time now. Make it worthwhile. Now, have we... we have unearthed a new star in Leaston Pickett. And I'm wondering if is Lethal Liesel finished? If so, could Leaston borrow the lethal business? Because Lethal Leaston's got a ring to it, hasn't it?
Certainly has.
And it certainly would get right up the nose of Lethal Liesel
Would.
if we started calling Lethal Leaston Lethal Leaston.
How about Lethal 2?
How about just Lethal Leaston? Just leave it at that.
And drop the lethal off
Yeah,
Liesel.
off used to be.
Used to be
Used to-
Liesel.
Yeah, used to be Jones. Used to be Jones. Now, what's gone wrong with our swimming, with our finishing in the pool, actually? I think the time has come for a finishing coach. So often we've lost 2 gold medals. Last night we lost 2 gold medals for about, 200th of a second because we're at the wrong stroke at that end of the pool.
I know. Two
Canada, gold medals.
To Canada, who said they could swim, and England.
Yeah, exactly.
Stood up there and saying, we are the world.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah,
it was.
Jerusalem.
Yeah, Jerusalem.
No words. They didn't say any words. They just stood there, while this was going on, this fiasco, this insult
But
was going on. Got right up my nose.
they did. You left.
Yeah,
in
well, I was
disgust.
hoping the crowd would get involved, but there was no crowd there. It was just me. And could I just congratulate the honcho of the Indian Commonwealth Games, that is Mr. Kalmaldi. You know, I felt it was a little bit weird to you last night, and I said to you, actually, it's a bit weird here tonight, isn't it? And you said, what, there's no one here? I said, no, this is weirder than that. And he thanked Prince Charles, obviously, for coming, and Lady Di for coming. And I said to you, well, that's probably what it was. She is here. She's the only one here.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
We're here, of course, in the Triple M studios at the All India Radio, presenting the shocks of your life.
Yes.
For Triple M. Now, I've just got to point out, and something I should have corrected yesterday, that India, or Delhi, is about 5.5 hours behind East Coast time in Australia.
Is that daylight saving time, HG?
Daylight saving time.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So it's 4.5 hours from Brisbane
Real time. Yes, well done, Roy.
Yes.
Now, look, obviously I'm a bit dusty today. I spent a big night at the Ricks at the Taj Mahal, and I've got to say I did bump into a crowd there. It was terrific to be
You always
amongst
get a
people.
crowd at the Taj, don't you?
You do. And can I just say it was somehow refreshing and comforting.
Yeah.
I've never experienced what I'd consider the reverse of claustrophobia. But at some of these venues, I'm starting to stand very close to people. Normally, as you know, I try to get away by myself
Yeah, I
and
know.
just think and, just cogitate and realise the experience. But what are we going to do, Roy?
You mean getting more crowds to the Taj Mahal, or getting more crowds to
I mean,
the
more
games?
crowds
I
to the
know.
venue. The Taj is no problem getting a crowd there.
No, you do normally get a good crowd.
And
at
I
the
tell you
Taj.
what, if you do bob in, ask for a woo-woo. They're terrific. It's a local beverage, cranberry juice and a peach snaps combined. It just takes your head off.
Yeah.
4 or 5 of those and you're sort of looking for somewhere to
Yeah.
park yourself.
Is that right?
Yeah, no.
What does your head in, does it?
Oh, wait, really, really, very difficult to handle.
Oh,
after,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the peach gives it a sort of schnapsy sort of feel?
Well,
doesn't
it is
Chief?
peach snaps, so that
Ah.
combined with the cranberry juice, there's some
Whoa.
chemical reaction going on there, which does your head in.
Yeah, right.
But listen, you've given away a lot of tickets.
yeah, I have. Yeah, I gave them the tickets, but
People were nonplussed
no,
about what you were
I gave them
getting.
the tickets, and they didn't. There was no thank you or great or anything. It was just
Yeah,
Oh.
But I just thought they were nonplussed when you
Yeah.
started doing it. They
Yeah.
didn't know what it was for.
no.
And you had to point out it's basketball or,
Yeah.
netball as it happened to be.
Well, it was the
Netball.
shuttlecock as it turned out.
Uh-huh.
the shuttlecock, and they seem nonplussed about the shuttlecock. I don't know what the state of Indian shuttlecock is.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's some concern about the state of Nigerian shuttlecock, and I think you might have brought our attention to this in your opening comments. I think Australia were up 5-0 against the Nigerians, and I think there is a bit of a crisis looming in Nigerian shuttlecock. I don't know whether the Commonwealth Games are going to investigate this. I don't know.
Would you like to see the Commonwealth Games Association do something about it? Pump in, say, seed capital into
Nigerian cock?
Yeah.
I think so. Same with Indian cock, HG. There seems to be a bit of a
a dwal, as we used to say in the old
days. Yes. I was going to
lethargy crept in.
A lot of limp lethargy in world cock, you'd have to say at the moment. This is getting right away from your problems with people not going to. But I think if the standard's not there, HG, people won't come. You can't expect people to go and watch the Nigerian shuttlecock team. Why? I mean, they know it's rubbish.
Yeah.
They know it's rubbish.
They don't identify with any of the people there.
They don't.
I mean,
there are no heroes. There are no Nigerian shuttlecock heroes you see on billboards everywhere.
No.
None.
No.
I'm telling you now, that's a fact. None.
Have you looked?
I have.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Roy, the medal tally, as I read it at the moment, is 9 gold to Australia.
Yep.
9 silver and 5 bronze.
Yes.
Are you entirely happy with that at the moment?
No, I'm not, because 2 of those silvers should be gold. Because we haven't got a finishing coach in the pool.
Yeah, no, from the pool. I'm not sure where we're bronzing, but that's just un-Australian at this level.
Well, I don't mind the bronzes because very often the silver and the gold has gone to Aussies in front of them.
Oh, fair enough.
You've got to have someone getting the bronze. When you got,
true,
you know.
True. Are you worried at all about the resurgence of Indian?
Yeah, I am.
You know, and I'm not sure where their 5 gold have come from, but I do know a couple of shooters have got gold for India.
Yeah,
I mean,
their shooters are going to bring it home, you know. Their shooters are very good.
There's only 90 shooting events.
Yeah.
They could really give us a lot of curry, to coin a phrase.
I know. Is Michael Diamond in our team, HGs, or is he retired?
Well, what an interesting
God
question.
almighty, he could shoot.
Oh, he could.
Michael Diamond. Oh.
Look,
Crosshairs Diamond.
Look, Russell Mark is here, of course.
Well, he's a genius, Russell Mark.
And he obviously, people remember about his complained. He complained in Beijing about the Chinese referees were ignoring blatant misses by the Chinese shooters.
That's right.
And while he himself was not directly affected, he insisted the medals were wrongly awarded as a result.
Yes.
Now, his complaint there was that referees were cheating. Yeah. There's no nice, let's not beat around the bush.
Was it just the Chinese referees that cheated?
The home country cannot have a majority of referees on the field is the new rule now because of his protests in Beijing.
Very good.
So as a direct result of Mark's courageous outburst, especially in China where they don't like people talking out of turn.
No, they don't. He didn't mention the Falun Gong at the same time, did he?
He said if the Falun Gong were in charge, this wouldn't have happened.
Jesus.
He went out on a limb.
He went right out on a limb.
He thought under Chairman Mao it wouldn't happen, which got him into even more trouble.
Did he mention Deng?
Oh, no, Deng.
Deng Xiaoping?
No, Deng Xiaoping, the man who could live under a table.
Yep.
Look, he didn't mention him at all. And that was maybe the saving grace, because it's only that they hate the people who immediately precede them.
Yeah,
who are about to take over, like the Falun Gong.
Yeah, true.
Now, as a direct result of Mark's courageous outburst, he didn't have to do it. I mean, it wasn't affecting him at all. He just saw...
He was prepared to be a martyr, wasn't he?
Correct.
He was prepared to go into a Chinese prison for the rest of his life.
And remember that other story, and I think Michael Diamond broke this.
Yeah.
He smuggled in or sent ahead his own ammo.
That's right.
Which was then commandeered by the Chinese.
And the Chinese used his ammo against...
And substituted some crap that was left over from the nationalist struggle in 48.
That's right. That's right. They put in those old, we used to call them bending bullets.
They change shape.
They change shape. They change direction all the time. No.
Bending bullets. I've forgotten about them. The rules were amended so host nations in the future could provide only 1 of 3 required referees. Hopefully the situation will never happen again.
Yeah.
It was really the only time I've seen in our sport, because he refers, of course, to well-known Egyptian judges in the boxing. That was, I think, a big problem in Athens. And then, of course, in Korea, back at Seoul in, I think, want to say 1994. I might have that wrong.
It might be a little bit earlier.
1992.
Yeah.
It was just on for young and old.
Yeah.
It was a tragic day. It got to the stage where if the cheating by officials was so blatant that everyone stopped shooting and just looked at the referees and said, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He says here, the Indians aren't like that at all. The Indian referees are amongst the best in the world because the sport here is such a big sport. The Indians are expecting the majority of their medals to come from the shooting sports. They know it's a big part of their culture.
I didn't know that. I know they've got the 6th largest army in the world, HG.
But their culture, I mean, I thought their culture
was
was...
a shooting culture, is it?
Yeah. I know, I can see you getting excited.
Yeah.
Look, I had no idea this was the case. You know, I expected to go to temples, you know, Hindu.
Yoga.
That's right. Ashrams,
Yes.
you know, the yogi,
contemplative life.
Contemplative life, exactly, yes. The Yogi Maharishi.
Yes.
Now, I went up there to Ricky.
Grinning and giggling while you say nonsense.
That's right. Well, I went there the other day and they showed me where the Beatles wrote the White Album. I thought, hello, how close to the source does it get than this?
Is that right? Did you sit down?
I did, of course I did. I got a couple of songs out of it too that they left over.
Wow. Because Donovan was with them then too.
Donovan and others, and Mia Farrow.
Mia Farrow turned up.
They hated Mia Farrow.
They did?
Yeah, they threw her out.
Oh.
She was a bit too pious for them. Now, they know it's a big. They don't want to be classed that way as cheats.
Oh.
Not that he needed any reminding of how big threat the Indian shooters will pose. Yeah. Wayne Smith got this for the Murdoch people. But it was certainly driven home to him at the recent World Cup meet in Turkey, where he placed 6th in the double trap won by Rojan Sodhi, the Indians' number 1. So it's a very fascinating problem. But that's great news that there's only one hometown judge and 2 others. I know Bill Harrigan's gone over from the, and I think Razor Ray Chamberlain from the AFL has gone over to
just to oversee
referee the shooting. You know how international people go to elections in dodgy parts of the world. Well, that's the same now with the shooting. It's terrific.
Is it too early, HG, to make the suggestion that judges in the shooting should in future come from outside the Commonwealth?
Well, what a brilliant idea. And have no knowledge of the Commonwealth at all.
No, they're blindfolded.
And picked by random lottery, much in the manner of I think the Gillard Climate Change panel was going to be selected, which I think was
the Citizens' Assembly.
The Citizens'
So we have a shooting judges' assembly
of the world.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
And, of course, we can proudly say that very few of the real, BA countries have scored any medals. I suppose the Bangladesh, they appear to have one.
They've got a silver by the looks of it.
Yeah,
Is that
they
a
do.
bronze?
It might be a bronze.
Yeah. Don't know how they got that.
You know, our friends from the across the ditch, they've got one of each.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not talking gold here either. I'm talking silver and bronze. Scotland, they've got one gold. How? I don't know. Obviously, the Sports Commission, I mean, this would not have happened if, what's his name, had been still in charge. The bloke, the longest-serving sports minister in Australia.
Oh, Kemp. Senator Rodney Kemp.
Well, to give him his real name, Rod Kemp.
Yeah.
If he'd been at work.
Yeah.
Arbib can't cut it.
Yeah, no, Arbib can't cut it.
I mean, people accuse me of being anti-Labor. I'm not. No. I'm not. That's a fact. Yeah. But Arbib is proved wanting at his first hurdle. Yes. He's fallen the first hurdle. 9 gold on day 2. And yet, if I do the maths quickly here, Roy, I've got, about 13, 15 golds going to other countries. Other countries that should be coming to Australia. Yeah. It's called the Australian Games for a very good reason.
Yeah. Well, I said I shouted out at Arbib because he was
lurking about.
Well, he was in the crowd.
Trying to make up the numbers.
He was the crowd, let's face it. I said to him, "Hey, Arbib!" You know what I should do. And he looked over like, what? What's going on?
Somebody knows who I'm
in. Someone knows me, shock. I said, Arbib!
What did you say, Roy?
What are you doing about our finishing coaches for the swimming? What are you doing about that, eh? He didn't say a word.
No.
Didn't say a word. Looked at me blankly as if, I was from outer space.
Honestly, to give the bloke some credit.
Well, he's not across the issue.
I know, and he didn't.
You should be across the issue. How could a department send him without briefing him?
I know.
You got your starting coach, you got your
tumble-turn coach,
coach,
stroke
your
coach,
finishing coach.
Not there, Roy. Not there. I agree with you entirely. But speaking of coming from outer space, the difficulty was he was there sitting by himself, surrounded by, say, 2,000 or 3,000 empty chairs. Yeah. You could have landed on Mars.
That's true. That's true.
Just before we go on, and I do have a very important matter, what are we going to do about these crowds? I know I said earlier, that you were behind the push now to give away tickets to the people who built the joint. Yeah. I think it's too hard for them to get school kids here. I think school kids know it smells and don't want a part of it. So I think they've got to go back to the people who built it.
Yeah. HG, are we sure? All this talk about, 1 billion people. Is that right? Has anyone done a count? Has there ever been a census done?
What's your guess of the population of India?
Well, I would say, looking at New Delhi, HG, I haven't been to New Delhi before. I've been to other Indian cities, but not New Delhi. But you have to know New Delhi appears to only have about 12 people.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Let's cross to the velodrome, Roy,
Yep.
where Mark Arbib is bringing us up to date. with
Hey,
the,
Arbib!
the women's points race. Arbib, what's going on?
Who's winning? As far as I know, Megan Dunn, actually, the Aussie girl, is leading with 37 points at the moment.
And what was the nearest rival? Did you get? I know
Canadians.
But points. How far in front is Megan Dunn?
Appears to be 5 points in front, but I don't know what that means, actually. I'm unaware. Arbib hasn't been able to explain the rules to me at all.
No. Well, to be fair, he is on the other side of the
know.
velodrome, and he's shouting, trying to shout, but he's just not penetrating.
Yeah, exactly.
The atmosphere here is electric.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Ah, yes, the gold avalanche continues. We think we might have won. Megan Dunn's won the women's points race at the velodrome.
Yes, yeah, and the cycling.
In front of a heads of state.
Delirious crowd,
including Mark Arbib
Yeah.
from the Australian Labor Party sports minister. And there's Megan crossing the line, absolutely thrilled to bits with a very tactical race. She won it by heaps in the end.
Yeah.
When we left it, I think she was 2 or 3 points in front of Ellis from New Zealand, with the Canadian Witten just slightly astern.
Yeah.
But she's blown them away in this final
What a
points.
credit this is to Australian cycling, HG.
Unbelievable. Haven't we done well?
We've done very
we
well.
started the golden shower yesterday,
Yes.
and now Megan Dunn's just splashing about in it
Yeah.
now. It's just
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And I just hope they give us the full results here. Oh, no, they haven't. They've gone to a helicopter. Now,
Well, that's TEN's coverage, isn't it?
you just want to know the result. Is that too much to ask for a television channel?
Yeah. Well,
You know,
it's quite a complex thing, isn't it? Sports coverage. I mean, you've got winners,
losers,
lists,
times. And then you've got to go back and see if they broke the rules,
Yeah.
or if they hit the horse
Or if
too
it's
many times.
official or not. It may not be official yet.
Oh, true.
They'll be
Yeah, 'cause
waiting
it'd be
for it
protest.
official. There would be,
So we might have to wait for
bureaucrats would get involved.
3 or 4 hours before we get an
bib
answer.
types that need to tick things off.
Now, Roy, later today, the Commonwealth Games track competition starts at the 19th Games in the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium. It was described by Alex Brown for the Fairfax people as a mess.
Yeah.
At least 2 large sections on the eastern side of the track appear to have been relaid and repainted in the last 24 hours. Stadium workers have told Fairfax, that's who Alex works for, and both areas feel noticeably softer underfoot than the rest of the running surface. Now, there's a bit of a giveaway because the smell of fresh paint around the relayed sections is detectable, and some areas appear slightly raised and more established than the more established parts of the track. Roy, I know you've had a look over the Nehru Stadium. Are you at all concerned?
I am concerned because I took a bit of a run around it this morning, HG, and it's quite bouncy in places.
Right. Would it give an advantage
Yes,
to a
it
runner
would.
or hinder a runner
No, it would give you an advantage
if you got lane 8?
If you're on lane 8 exactly. If you've got the bouncy lane, you're going to have at least 4 strides with bounce.
Right.
Now that's got to give you when you're talking hundreds of seconds here,
In which we are.
then whoever gets lane 8, we're going to have to monitor this very, very carefully to make sure that India doesn't get lane 8 every time.
Well, also, within 30 centimetres of the inside lane, a large hole filled with concrete and sand is posing safety hazard for the runners.
Well, yeah. Well, you could easily break an ankle.
You could.
If you get lane 1.
If you get the staggers on
Yeah.
a long race, say for 10,000 kilometre.
Yes.
Can they do 10,000 kilometres? I think that's a hell of a race.
It is a hell of a race.
10,000 metres.
But even
not,
sprinting, HG, even with, say, a 100-yard dash, as we used to call in the old days of the Empire Games, going back that far, if you're in lane 1, and you could easily break an ankle if you're not careful where you step on lane 1. Whereas in lane 8, you've got your 4 springy steps. I mean, it's just not fair.
Well,
I mean, it'd be fair if the Aussie gets lane 8.
Oh, well, obviously it'd be fair. That's what we'd be rooting for. Jonathan Edwards, the former triple jumper, inspected the track with you last night.
Now, when you say triple jump, you mean hop, step and jump.
Sadly, I do. Hop, step and jump.
Good,
yeah.
good.
Sorry.
In terms of the Empire Games, now I understand.
It was, as he said to you, it was beyond anything he had imagined. Concerns about athletes' safety was foremost. The straight for the 100 metres is fine, if a little short, but they're relaying a bit of the track which was damaged during the opening ceremony. Or should I say ceremony? I think I've mispronounced that, ceremony. Yeah. It's ceremony.
Who's saying ceremony? Not Bill Woods.
Well, I'll tell you who's saying it's chef de mission.
Oh, really?
Boy, chef de mission.
Yeah.
Steve Monahetti.
Yeah. He calls it a ceremony, doesn't he?
Ceremony, yeah. Now, and they've had
To me, that just says, and I love Steve Mulligan. I didn't know this had crept into his lexicon.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems when people say ceremony, they're putting up a big flag that says, "World, I'm a dickhead."
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Emily Dunn has got gold.
Yeah, that's
or
official.
Megan Dunn, rather. Emily will be writing later.
Yeah. That's official, isn't
Now,
it?
you've
That's
spoken to Mark Arbib, and you seem to have got some
I
idea
shouted
of the
at him.
rules. Yeah.
I shouted at him.
What'd you shout?
Yeah.
What are the rules, Arbib?
Yeah. I said, "Hey, Beb!" Not a problem there.
Now,
Look, I think there are 5 sprinting sections in that race, HG.
right. In the, it's a 100-lapper.
100 lapper. Yeah.
And there's 5 sprinting sections, and the competitors accrue points or accrue points for every
If you
sprint.
win a section, you get 4 points.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now-
if you come second in a section, you get 3 points, etc., etc. And I remember, I think Megan was up to about 38 points
She was.
before that last lap.
Burst.
Yeah.
Yes. So congratulations to Megan Dunn.
Yeah.
A tremendous result there.
Great
And
result.
no surprises to see Australia now go to 10 medals. Now, in this one here, it looks to me as though New Zealand have won the men's Kieran second round.
No, it's Heat 1.
Heat 1.
Heat 1, yeah.
I think it's a best of 3 from memory.
Yeah.
This is this stupid event where Arbib sits out the front on a motorbike
Yeah.
and drives around the track with everybody
Just
else.
to prove that a motorbike can go faster than a bike.
Exactly. Is
I
that the
don't get
state?
that.
Is that the state of
We
Australian
understand
sport?
that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you put Casey Stoner on there, I mean, obviously he's going to beat Megan. He is.
I know fact.
Wouldn't matter if it was 1,000 laps.
No.
He's
Megan's
still going
never
to win.
going to catch.
No.
Would you like to see Casey Stoner ride the bike for the Kieran? I mean, to bring a certain sense of glamour, or a Valentino Rossi. I know Valentino Rossi doesn't come from a Commonwealth country.
But what a fascinating idea, HG, to get motorcycles into a velodrome like that. Wouldn't you love to see that?
And Commonwealth Games as well.
Yes.
I tell you one thing that's obviously the lawn bowls hasn't got underway, and Australian bowling has got a very strong hand here. Mark Arbib.
Yeah, but remember we've had Gastric and
Gastric,
Delhi Belly go through our
bowlers, probably,
bowlers, yeah.
you know, on
Our
a
bowlers have been bowl bound.
perfectly put. Our bowlers have been bowl bound. Now, look, the problem with our bowlers, a very strong hand, but very weak wrists at the moment. You know, and so
the
they
wrists have been getting a lot of wiping practice,
They
actually,
have,
so
they
I'd
have.
suggest their wrists have strengthened up mightily since they arrived here in New Delhi.
Now, one thing I'm wondering, Roy, whether you'd call from, support my call to Mark Arbib, who's here in the velodrome with us, for barefoot bowling to becoming part of the games. Now, people who may not be familiar with barefoot bowling, you're able to bowl actually barefoot with a beer in a hand and a fag. And I'm just wondering if this could be another category, because I think Australia would,
I'd
do
love to
pretty
see
well.
that. I can't see any problems with that. With little vomity stains, HG, on the shirt.
Well, I don't. I think that if
maybe,
barefoot bowlers, one of the things
Patch
they,
of the
mucus?
the map of Australia on the gusset of the trouser as well, just to liven it up. Sounds wonderful.
I think the rule that you're looking for is that the competitors, if issued with a uniform, cannot change or appear on the lawn. What do they call it? The rink.
Yeah.
Without that uniform, and it's never to be washed. Now, of course, there's some terrific events coming up later today.
Yes.
What we have here is, as nearly as I can tell, India v Australia in the hockey from 7 p.m.
Fantastic.
That's Eastern time.
Yeah,
Obviously,
that'll be one to watch.
getting underway.
And Skippy Hugel.
Skippy Hugel going for 50 metres
Would that be
fly.
about 9:30 tonight, Eastern Standard
that's
Summer
right.
Time?
And we've got the Kukla blasting off with Coots and the bomb in the 100 metres free. That'll be something where we could get 1, 2 and 3 again. And I take your point, Roy. Look, can I just say, if they are bronze in a 1, 2, 3 circumstance, we need to move to dead heat second.
Yeah, we do.
So as they both get silver, because they're...
Well, couldn't we organise it a little better if we had a finishing coach? Dead heat finish, 1, 2, 3, 3 goals.
Perfect. And on that positive note, we'll say farewell from Delhi tonight, and we'll be back. Obviously, I'll be back in the Char Bar in a couple of hours' time. If anybody'd like to join me after we've seen some terrific events, including that.
You're going back to the Taj Mahal?
I am. The hotel. Yes, I'm off to the hotel again. Yeah,
Okay.
I've got a bit of a night planned tonight.
Oh, very good.
Okay. Well, I've met a couple of people.
Not locals, obviously.
No, they're blow-ins like us at a loose end.
You're right.
That's it for the Shocks of Your Life today. We'll be back. I think Sydney time we're on about 5 p.m. And looking forward to it because it's going to be an exciting night.
Yeah. One for the ages.
Thanks very much. Bye now.
Roy and HG on Triple M. Roy and HG on Triple M.
Yes, thanks very much, Sunil DPP Vansaka from the All India Radio in the Triple M Subcontinental Soundproof booth. Hello, Australia, and welcome to the shocks of your life. Welcome to Triple M's continuing coverage of the 19th Commonwealth Games. We greet you with the noise and news that the Aussie gold rush continued overnight. The golden shower flushed away our fever, and our great nation now stands on top of the medal heap. Well, let's face it, there's a lot of bloody daylight between the Aussie tilt and the rest of the pack. In fact, the peloton, if you can call it that, I can't see them. I can't see them. They're there somewhere. I suppose if we got somebody up in a helicopter, we could go looking for them. But to give you an idea of how far ahead of the pack we are, we're 22 gold, 17 silver, 10 bronze, count them, 49 in all. I'll only mention one of the followers, and that's India, who sit on 9 gold, 10 silver, 2 bronze, 21. So we are now, we're just on our own. There's no one to beat but us. And the good news does not end there, because our battling birds were set free once again, this time at the velodrome. They turned up at the wrestling the other day where Hussein Fakiri set one free because he disagreed with the judging, sort of scoring, I suppose. And last night, it was Shane Perko Perkins who gave the bird flight after being dumped for dangerous riding in the Kirin semi-final. Well, I don't want to go on about the Kirin, but this is an event where cyclists try to prove they can go faster than a bloke on a motorcycle and always fail. Dangerous riding. I mean, it's a dangerous idea of an event. It's just stupid. In the pool, we get another 6. Cooch Cowdrey, the bomb, lethal, all going off, and Big Skippy snared silver, but remains our golden boy here in Delhi. And over at the Cock, in mixed team Pool A, Australia clinically dismantled the Isle of Man tilt here at 2010, 5-1. Oh, yes, we're punching well above our weight in the Cock. Sadly, at the Bangs, Australia got the worst of the bendy bullets. Remember, they draw them secretly by, sort of dipping their hand, lucky dip style, into a Kellogg's cardboard box. And our double trap team of Mark and Keeley missed the bronze by a point. In fact, it was a bad day at the Bangs all round for the green and gold heroes. That's what they are. They might be losing, but they're still heroes. Heroes. Edwin Gow, 5th in the 10-metre air rifle. Big Davey Moore, 8th in the 50-metre pistol. And in the 25-metre pistol, our team powdered in the 4th and 5th, but they're still all living the dream, as we are here at the shocks of your life. But now, a man who boldly told the Australian Minister of Sport, Mark Arbib, to sit down and shut up when he wanted to get involved with the judges who tossed Perko out of the Kirin last night. That man is rampaging, Roy Slavin. The Aussie tilt, Roy, struck 13 golden nuggets overnight. Might have been 14. What caught your eye, Hutto?
Yeah, thanks very much, Nicole. And aren't they a pair, Hutto and Nicole?
Did I mention this last night? Isn't Hutto calling well?
He's calling well. Yeah. And doesn't Nicole handle the colour beautifully? Beautiful. Unbelievable. They're a great team. And let's not talk down Bill Woods and Sandra Sully. They're doing a great job in the host studio back home.
We can talk them down tomorrow night.
We can. Now, we have a new set of Golden Girls here in New Delhi. That is official. Golden Girls are back. 3 new ones. Here they are. Alicia Coots. Coochie!
Golden Cootsy.
Golden Cootsy. And God almighty, she can swim. And I think she believes in herself now, which is good.
Yeah.
She came with lacking self-belief. You and I spoke with her. She said, I just don't believe in myself. We said, you've got to believe in yourself. She now believes in herself. She's got 2 gold. Mm-hmm. There's more gold to come as the avalanche continues. She's definitely a golden girl. Lethal Jones is a golden girl. She never stopped being a golden girl, but she's now back again officially as a golden girl. And the C-bomb.
Yeah, the C-bomb went off.
The C-bomb went off.
Depth charge.
That's right, in the backstroke. And so we have 3 new golden... Oh, wow, 1 old golden girl and 2 newies. Now, 40 English swimmers are down with gastric. More about this a little bit later. I think it's some sort of bug, superbug, that's living in the warm-down pool.
Is that official superbug?
Superbug, yeah. I have advised our swimmers, including our golden girls, to stay out of the warm-down pool, unless they want to get gastric. Mind you, some of ours got gastric as well. I mean, I've had gastric. HG's had gastric. I know certain Channel 10 people, we don't have to name them, have had gastric.
Is Hutto got gastric?
And Nicole. Both had gastric. Now,
I've heard a message that, whisper, Bill Woods has got gastric back in Sydney.
Really? What, psychic gastric? He caught it through the
Well, looking at
through the feed.
Nick and Hutto.
Ah, that's something for CSIRO to look at. Can you get gastric through the feed? I hope not. Otherwise, listeners in cars heading home tonight will be thinking, "Oh, bloody hell! I hope we get there in time before it's bombs away."
Before it sets in.
Now, ticketing issues. There appear to be extremely long queues to get a ticket, but people seem to get a ticket and then don't bother turning up. I'm just not getting it. There are queues, actually. I've seen them.
I know.
And long delays getting tickets. Long delays.
This is the Indian way.
I know.
You get used to it, right?
I know. But
We've
part
been
of the
here
Indian
before.
way as well is, hello, I've got my ticket. Now I'm not going to use it. It beggars belief, but that's India.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Let's go to the cycling of last night, and obviously we had a chance to clean sweep the velodrome. 7 gold were up for grabs, and we got 6 of them. We should have got 7. Perko let us down, and he became the second.
The Birdman.
The Birdman. The Birdman of Delhi.
Yeah.
Became the second Australian athlete in many days to pull it out and shake it at the judge.
This follows Hussein Fakiri.
Correct, Hussein Fakiri in the wrestling, which we'll get to in a minute. Perkins will be disciplined by CA Cycling Australia for, angry 2-fingered salute to officials who cited him for dangerous riding in the semi-final of the Kirin and disqualified him from the gold ride-off. He had to ride off for the next best between 8th and 12th. I think he won by the length of the Flemington Straight. Obviously Cycling Australia's Gary West, we put steps in place to deal with that in-house. Growing up, we're taught to accept the umpire's decision and we need to live by and die by that. After winning his first heat easily, Perkins entered round 2 of his pet event. He was favourite for gold, but after he won the semi-final, judges ruled that Perkins had contributed to the crash and disqualified him from the race. Perkins easily won the race for 7th and to 12th, but gestured to officials afterwards. Now, Roy, I know I listed the audience there yesterday, and when I looked around, there was obviously you, me, Beck Hewitt, Bill Woods was there from Sydney, Mark Arbib, Spider Everett, and the various hangers on coaches-wise, like, obviously Gary West. When the judges...
It was a good house then.
It was a full house, virtually. In fact, I think the sign went up as we came in, sold out, just as you and I ticked through the turnstile. That was it. Ow. The thing I want to get to, though, is Mark Arbib's response. I mean, it was almost an international incident there. I mean, he got so outraged, and it was just you pulled him back. Otherwise, he was going to plant he was going to plant something on someone. I mean, people forget he's a faceless factional warlord, and he does go off. I don't think he should be allowed to go to any more events.
I think he's happy, actually, if we're winning, if it's gold.
I understand
if there's
that.
gold avalanche happening, I think the Minister for Sport is quite happy about that. It's when things go a little bit rocky, that's when it's difficult for a Minister for Sport. How is he meant to react? When someone like Shane Perkins, gives them the bird. He's got to take a stand. Now, it's all well and good to have Perkins carpeted by Cricket Australia, but it's hardly going to put the fear of God into him.
He won't.
But a meeting in Canberra with Mark Arbib.
And no one else. Yeah. You see, you thought he was after Perkins. I thought he was after a judge. Because I thought he was taking the side of Perkins, obviously. Indian officials, need I say more?
Sure.
I mean, sure, it's already well for Russell Mark out at the shooting to say it's all tickety-boo and great and a lot better than China. But I tell you what, for sure and certain, it's as dodgy as all hell here, the cycling where we were last night.
You mean we're lucky to get away with the 6 goals that we got?
We are.
So we dodged a bullet there.
Well,
those 6.
Well, I tell you what,
but
a judge...
took one with Perk.
We did.
Perk's wearing a bullet for the team.
I think so, yeah.
Well, couldn't Arbib give him some sort of award when he gets home, some sort of special medal?
That's what I think the secret meeting's about.
Yeah, right.
Sort of, obviously, a DSO and bar for courage under
fire.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Now, Roy, just going to the Hussein Fakiri case, Hussein was chasing Australia's...
He was chasing gold.
He was. Australia's first Commonwealth Games wrestling gold in 32 years.
This is Greco-Roman gold.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, he's in the 96 kilogram group of Greco-Roman final against India's Anil Kumar at the Indira Gandhi complex. Isn't that a magnificent wrestling complex? I mean,
world class.
Look, can I just say, I just hope it continues to be a
crowd puller.
a crowd puller and also a haven for all sorts of wrestling.
Yeah.
I just worry that
India's home of wrestling. That's what it could.
Spiritual
I hope it will
home.
become that. Yeah.
And remember, they have a lot of spiritual homes here.
Yes, they do.
Almost-
Is there a god of wrestling?
There would be, yes, there would be a god of wrestling. Certainly, it's something that seemed to come into if I read what we call the notes connected with wrestling. You come into wrestling very young here, maybe at the age of 2.
Oh, okay.
And
does the Bhagavad Gita have any instructions at all actually about wrestling or an attitude towards wrestling?
It certainly does. It's very encouraging. It's very pro wrestling. It's
Very
pro,
good.
martial arts and the warrior life.
Yes, good.
And of course, kids pinched from their parents. I use that word advisedly. At the age of 2, often suffer terrible sort of disappointment because they really didn't want to be wrestlers, or they didn't realise at that early age that they wanted to be wrestlers.
Oh, okay.
They sort of grow into it.
Oh, okay.
And they spend most of their lives at the spiritual home,
of wrestling.
Of wrestling.
Good.
But what I'm worried about with the Indira Gandhi Centre is that, when...
Well, she was no slouch, was she, when it came to that work?
Incredible. Learned a lot off her dad.
He was the original, the best, the Smith's Crisp of wrestling.
The master. His great opponent, of course, was Jinnah from Pakistan. I don't think they ever we never saw the best of Jinnah Nehru bouts.
No.
They were sort of before the war. Now, look, what I was trying to get to, though, is it's such a beautiful complex that, as India becomes more involved with the West, that groups like, say, I don't know, Status Quo,
Yes.
and think bands, like, I don't know, Queen, the remaining members of Queen.
Yeah, Creedence.
Creedence.
Yeah.
Perfect. They'll all want to play the Indira Gandhi Stadium, and it'll boot the wrestling out. And I think that's not right. I'm just hoping that, say, Friday night wrestling could become popular in India and somehow become part of Australian television, say, on the 7 network, as a result of them watching, that is Channel 7, watching the magnificent coverage of
Well,
10.
certainly Kumar the Fakiri is really...
The one that everybody wants to see.
Well, it set the New Delhi alight, didn't it?
It has.
The talk outside the stadium. Not inside, because obviously there was no one there, but outside, after the news broke. I mean, there was a hell of a lot of talk in some of the markets.
I know. Do you know what? People said, how good was the bird? And I was looking at them blankly thinking, what the hell are they talking about? These protests at games are big talking points here. People have a terrific memory of, the Australian cricket team chucking a wobbly here years ago. They seem to savour these moments when you see people doing stupid things or things they're not meant to, as in losing their temper while they're playing sport or getting cross with judging panels that are outing them for the Kiran.
Yeah, when you're wrestling, you're getting angry,
Now, look, already one down in a best-of-3 contests. Haseen was trailing in the second when the referee brought the match to a premature halt and awarded Kumar gold. The Australian maid unleashed the bird to the judges, a South African, Bella Lufu, and a Canadian, Erica Funekes.
No, they're both clowns. They're clowns. When it comes to Greco-Roman, I'm telling you now, that's a fact.
Do you think they've seen any of it in their lives? No. It's not clear whether Fakiri was stripped of his silver medal as a result of his gesture or the tactics employed in the match. At one point, Fakiri looked as though he was trying to slap his local rival, that's Anil, during the bout, but also appeared to headbutt him. The Australian team manager, Kuldip Abbasi, said Fakiri was too distraught to talk to the media and lost his temper and was devastated by the outcome. He should have been happy with silver and probably didn't want to lose. He's really upset, lost control, pointed the finger at the wrong people. I asked him, did you do it? He said yes. So that's it. End of story. You can't do anything more. He shouldn't have done it. He's a very senior wrestler. Whether you win or lose, I think you have to accept you've got to respect everybody. It's not really sportsmanship. He made a big mistake, paid a big price. Basically said Kumar had provoked Fakiri by pulling his neck during the bout. This is a tactic of wrestling. I told him he went on, that's what's going to happen to him. He just had to be calm. Team officials said it was inexcusable behaviour, but partly understandable. Roy, I'm just wondering whether...
I think another medal from our beer.
Do you think? Thanks.
There.
You read my mind.
I think the thing is actually, someone like Hussein Fakiri went in wanting gold. He really wanted gold. And when you've got gold fixed in your mind, and gold's all you want, and gold's what it's all about, when it's all gold, and it looks like you're only going to get silver, no matter what you do. You've got a bloke at your neck, you're slapping him, you're headbutting him, he's still coming at you, he's still getting your neck.
He's pulling it.
He's pulling it. And, there's nothing you can do about it. He's going to get the gold.
Mm-hmm.
And all those dreams, all the, your preparation, your careful planning, or all the training, et cetera, your hopes, your dreams of having gold are evaporating there before. What are you meant to do?
Yeah, no.
What are you meant to do?
You got to make a statement.
Well, you make a statement.
Right.
I mean, you gob off, you give the bird, you sulk.
Yeah. And the Distinguished Service Medal for Courage Under Fire isn't a bad result.
No, it's not
in
a
the
bad
end.
result at all,
Now, look,
yeah.
can I just point out that this is what, can I say two things? Firstly, I would have loved to have called the bout. Because I think from what I can see of the vision that I've seen on YouTube, I don't think the callers gave, due.
No.
They didn't really give the Australian tilt that he justices deserved.
No, I'm sure they didn't. They would have talked up the bloody Kumar's network.
Yeah.
No doubt.
The other thing is Fakiri's brain snap allowed the host nation to make a clean sweep of the 96, the 74 and the 60-kilogram titles to rapturous applause and dancing from the 12 locals in the stands.
Yeah, I know.
Now,
they got up my nose.
Yeah. They went off a
I
bit
thought it
early.
lowered the tone a little bit. Sure, a little bit of this. If you get gold.
On your anal! That sort of stuff at the right
well
moment.
done, anal. Whatever.
Yeah.
But this
Put
dancing.
him away, anal!
Yeah.
Leave his neck alone, anal! That sort of stuff.
This neck business and this
Dancing.
this dancing business. I mean, it's just beyond the pale.
Do you know what I was glad? I was glad Bib wasn't there.
Yeah.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
You can tell we're in Delhi, can't you? Disappointing audiences to the games, which Roy and I have commented on, due to adverse pre-event publicity, not declining relevance of the Commonwealth Games.
Oh, so it's
Federation
nothing to do with the games.
No,
Nothing to do
is-
with the Commonwealth Games.
This is the Fennell position.
This is the Commonwealth Games sort of honcho's position.
Indeed. Fennell.
Well, that's a relief, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it might have been the games people weren't interested in, but it's not.
Well, I can honestly say I'm not that interested in the Kirin. I mean, this desperate attempt to prove that blokes on bikes can ride faster than a motorcycle, I just think you're pissing in the wind.
Yeah, right.
I've told that to Cycling Australia and Cricket Australia. They don't seem to be interested.
No, all right.
Now, Fennell, he's failed to endorse the committee chairman, this is your Kalmadi, who is under increasing pressure to resolve teething problems. Well, hang on a minute, the games are almost over. Aren't we halfway through tomorrow?
Teething problems? Well, there are still teething. Remember they were digging up the stadium
track.
yesterday, the track?
Yeah.
Still a bit of a teething problem. There's still teething problems. There appear to be a lot of tickets, but people are having trouble
Finding them.
buying them. I mean, you can get in the queue, but nothing seems to happen when you get to the
front of the queue. Fennell puts onus on Kalmadi and his committee to, wait for it, lure spectators. And I'm thinking the last bit of luring I heard was Brendan Favola with a footy.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that could work.
Yeah, luring spectators.
A free footy, a free Australian rules footy for every person who comes along. And it could.
Well, if Kamadi, remember it was Kalmadi that indicated that he was really pleased that Lady Di had made it.
Yeah.
Well, if he spread the word throughout New Delhi that Lady Di was at the stadium,
it'd be swamped,
enjoying the sports, I reckon people would get there.
Kalmadi insisted interest was high, particularly with India winning gold medals, and predicted crowds would improve as the competition progressed.
It's nearly over. Look, they've got 9 golds, India. 9. Now, has anyone been there to see India bring home the gold?
No.
No?
Only the guards.
Yeah.
The blokes with the guards.
Who are doing a very good job, incidentally,
Incredible. So far,
maintaining
so
their focus, especially those ones that have got to face away from the games and face the seats.
I know.
To make sure none of them seats get up to anything untoward.
I know. What worries me is there's something weird
Because there's
about
seats,
this.
they
I
can
know.
move. I was just staring at them the other day. Remember, because I forgot
Nothing
what was
to do.
happening. There was a bit of some games happening, but I've forgotten what it was. It was
the
indistinguishable
Kirin.
from life, really.
It was the Kirin.
Might have been the Kieran. And anyway, there was a lot of seats. And I said to you, God, there are a lot of seats here. And I think you said something like, yeah, there's 80,000. And there were just 2 of us in the stadium. So there appeared to be a lot of seats. And I said to you, if you stare at these seats, HG, I could swear they start moving around a little bit.
I'm desperately worried that the locals know something we don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. But I take my hat off to those guards who've got to keep their eye on those seats
and make sure they
don't move or get stolen or out of control or have ideas of their own.
Asked if the games had lost relevance, Fennell said it's wrong to draw that conclusion. I think a lot of adverse publicity leading up the games has turned off some people. He said there were 50,000 tickets had yet to be sold for competition on yesterday.
Yeah.
Yet ticketing difficulties remain an issue with reports of long delays at ticket booths and despite little demand.
Well, I can tell you there's your problem right there, because there's nothing worse. If you queue up long and you finally get to the booth and buy the tickets and find out they're for yesterday, well, you're not going to go, are you?
I know, that lost day, you never get it back either.
You never get it back.
So you're there for 24
so
hours in
you
a
can
queue.
proudly show your ticket. I got tickets, yeah, I went for yesterday.
How about this? Out at the shooting, Kalmadi.
With the bent bullets?
With the bent bullets, yeah, where Australia's having a hard day at the office. Gee, I never thought I'd use that in connection with shooting, but there it is. Now, as Kalmadi deflected questions about poor crowd numbers with his what's described here by the Delhi Messenger as customary flair and optimism, the Olympic gold medalist Matthew Pinsett, Pinhead Pinsett, who rowing legend, piped up. Pinsett said that he'd been to the shooting range on Tuesday when Abhinav Bindra won India's first gold medal for the Games. It was in front of 30 spectators.
Yeah, but they were really loving it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but does he say how many chairs were there? How many seats, moving seats were there?
The moving seats he counted were 74,000.
Yeah, right.
I was there myself. There were a few hundred people there, Kalmadi said. Pinsett replied, I can show you the pictures, sir. We can count them together if you like. After some debate, Kalmadi said, I'll get back to you. Mike Hooper, head of the Commonwealth Games Federation. Oh, this is very disappointing. Could be heard. Don't hold your breath, Mike.
Oh, Lord.
It's not good, is it?
Well, it's not looking good for Kalmadi, is it?
No. Do you think he'll get that job?
Kalmadi?
Yeah.
He's got the job.
You know, when the Olympic Games
the Olympic Games going to Delhi or Calcutta. I think Calcutta's putting in a bid.
Right, that's great.
Yeah, and Rawalpindi might be putting in a bid as well.
Right. How about Bombay?
Bombay for sure.
That's where it all happens, Bombay. No, I can see him kicking on from here.
Yeah.
They won't let a talent
Kick-ass Kalmadi,
they won't let a talent like him go.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Just point out that the live tomorrow will also be coming from Delhi. We'll be able to...
Well, it just makes sense logistically rather than fly back tonight and be jet-lagged.
I know. And then on Monday, we'll be back in Delhi for the whole of next week.
Yes.
It's terrific, though, being here, isn't it? I mean, I had no idea they'd be so easy to move around the city and, and people.
And the spices. You know, you can read all you like about Indian cuisine and you can go to any number of Indian restaurants throughout Australia. But it's not until you get to taste Indian food in an Indian restaurant in an Indian city.
In Indian settings.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's just
it's
unbelievable.
Unreal, isn't it?
Incredible. You know, everything tastes so much better.
Yeah.
Now,
and there's that element of risk. You know, you think, this...
The gamble of lottery of the bow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, look, we're having tremendous success here. Megan Dunn has won a gold medal at the women's track cycling scratch race.
Good on her.
New Zealand
Megan Dunn, she might have won the points race yesterday. Yeah. That's 2 goals for Megan.
I think she's from Dubbo. She got a bike for her birthday at the age of 5 and hasn't been off it since.
There's a lesson there for parents, isn't it? Get
your
kid a bike.
I know.
Get your kid a bike.
Could do a lot worse. Now, New Zealand took second and England's Anna Bligh got the bronze at the Indira Gandhi Sports Complex.
I didn't know Anna Bligh was riding for England this year.
No, I've got to say I had no idea that she had English heritage at all.
No, nor did I.
In fact, she's kept that very long.
Yes.
But then that explains...
I know she was, but I thought she was here to put the bid in for the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was here. That was a bid so she could ride for England.
Well, look, one thing that worries me is slightly, I think you were telling me off air or earlier today over a couple of samosas and woos at the Char Bar, that the English cycling team decided to give the swerve pass to the Commie Games and make a beeline for the European Championships, largely because that was their Olympic selection venue
Olympic
or
qualifying
process.
Yeah.
So Anna Bligh, I mean, we said this...
Well, it opened up the window of opportunity for her, didn't
did.
she?
Obviously,
she managed to buy a bike, which you can do here in New Delhi. I mean, some of the shops are incredible.
I know.
You know, you can get whatever you like. You can get batteries, bikes.
Can you get a battery?
Most of the things that begin with B, not a problem.
It's when you get to things that start with D that you're in real trouble. Now, how about this news? Look, gives you an idea of the quality of the competition here. Our first shooting gold. We're on the board at the bangs. 16-year-old Alethea Sedgman has claimed Australia's first shooting gold at the Delhi Commonwealth Games with the victory in the women's 50-metre rifle, 3 positions. The Melbourne teenager scored 6.76 to win from Singaporean Du Xiang and Aliqua Sudu She blitzed them. She was 6.76. The silver got 6.72.6, and the bronze 6.71.3.
Wow.
Blew them away.
Yeah, so she mastered the bending bullet.
The bending bullet, yes, she did. She weaved a spell over the bending bullet.
Wow.
So that's tremendous to get that.
Isn't that great in the three positions?
3 positions. And we've only got about another 40 shooting events to go.
Oh,
I can see us picking up at least 20 or 30 medals there.
If only parents would buy their kids bikes and buy them a gun.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Now, you were talking about the problem of how the games are going over in Australia. Well, I've got I plucked this off the net from the Fairfax sources. Despite jarring images of empty venues, smaller overall audience volumes, there's Channel 10 broadcasters are going well, both 10 and Foxtel. Australian medal wins are delivering strong audience spikes. Among 10, the women's 50-metre breaststroke final, the 1.22 million watched it, 10 and 1 combined. The women's 200 individual medley, 1.12 million watched it. The men's 4,000 individual pursuit cycling final, 1.8. The time difference between Delhi and Sydney is 5.5 hours. This has helped the ratings across the first two. Obviously,
isn't that good to know?
It is good.
Isn't that good to know?
In other words,
we can pass that on to the athletes here.
That everybody's watching.
Because it can be a bit dispiriting when you get out there and they're not the atmosphere you're expecting. Yes.
Yeah, no one's here. So
but if we can let them know that people are watching at home.
Who have you seen while you've been here, Roy, just in terms of athletes? I mean, obviously, you've seen Mark Arbib, probably more often than you'd like.
I have seen Mark Arbib quite a bit. But in terms of athletes, actually, I've spent a fair bit of time with the swimming team.
Yeah.
Just to...
self-belief is your message?
Self-belief and enjoy yourself, and just remember these days. It doesn't matter what your bowels are like. Forget your bowels. Put your bowels behind you. Is my message. And if swimmers can do that, then I think the golden avalanche will continue.
Gee, there's a fine line, isn't there? It's words of wisdom, Roy. Absolutely right. You've got
a lot of them. You see them lying there. They've been wiping all night. They're red raw. And you just say to them, well, it could be worse.
Could be worse. Perfectly put.
Yeah, just put it behind you.
You mightn't
just
have
focus on your swimming. Focus on your stroke.
Yeah. You mightn't have a pool to swim in. Think how bad that'd be.
Yes.
See, often I think we're doing incredibly well and blowing the opposition out of the water because we're focusing on the rear end.
Yeah.
And that's taking that nightmare pressure that we felt in Beijing away from us.
Yeah.
I mean, these figures just don't compare.
What impresses me, I mean, we've got the English now. We know there are 40 English swimmers with gastric, and they've come out and talked about it, right? I tell you what, gives the Australians due. A lot of our Aussies have had gastric, but they haven't told anyone.
No, it's a secret weapon.
Yeah.
Now,
we haven't told anyone. That's given us the edge. I said to a couple of the kids yesterday, I said, you guys have had gastric, haven't you? I said, how'd you know? You could tell. I said, good on you. You've done us proud because you haven't given the British the advantage.
Yeah, you haven't. That's right. Now, look, can I just look? Well, obviously, we've got to shut. The bird packs it in a few minutes' time.
Yeah.
But can I just leave people with the tantalising knowledge that remember when we spoke earlier, coming into this meet, how the English were going to kick our ass?
Yeah.
Well, they've only got 5 gold.
Yeah.
We've got 22.
Yes.
I mean, and we're talking about the Olympics. We're not talking about commie games. We're talking about the Olympics here. What a terrific...
And you can just putting ourselves in their position, HG. Can you imagine for a lot of those young English swimmers, they came here with very, very high hopes, with a gold medal on their minds, and what are they going back with? A brown stain in the underpants.
And a boot up the date.
Yeah.
That's it from New Delhi tonight. Obviously, Australian time. Join us tomorrow for 3 hours of in-depth analysis of where we're going right here in Delhi. We say join us again next week when you can for the shocks of your life. Bye now.
Roy and HG on Triple M. Roy and HG on Triple M.
Yes, thanks very much. Sunil DPP Vansaka from All India Radio in the Triple M Subcontinental Soundproof booth. Hello, Australia. Welcome to the shocks of your life. Welcome to Triple M's continuing coverage of the 19th Commonwealth Games. We greet you with the news that the Aussie Games golden shower has drenched this lucky country of ours with 64 gold, 40 silver, 39 bronze, a total of 143. Yes.
145 now, HG. I don't know where that came from, but we've picked up another two.
And that doesn't, I've two more silver. Matt Mitchum and Co got it.
Yep.
The silver, and I forget where the other one came from. It's just fantastic news. Thanks for that, Roy. Now, never mind, we are laying the lukewarm dark brown Axminster all over the competition. Our nearest rival, India, has half our medal haul. And the good news does not end there because there are 20 more gold up for grabs today. Steve Highlife Hooker launched a skyrocket from the date with his incredible leap last night. He only needed one jump to get the gold at the 50.6 metre mark. And what about Damon Kelly, the such is life bloke in the 120 kilogram class? He picked up 400 kilograms and threw in the air for a top of the podium finish. Now the trick is to turn that golden success here in New Delhi into ute loads of gold in folding once he lobs home. And Sally Pearson found redemption in the 100 metres hurdle and then turned on the Happy Time Waterworks. But it wasn't all tears of joy in Delhi as our Rugby Sevens campaign took a knock when the kids from the Darwin Bucks party were put away by a very professional English outfit, 21-19 in Pool D. And now our number one pub side are taking on, as we speak, the Kenyans in the quarters, but they've gone 10-0 ahead, Roy, already. Yep. As we watch on replay, a magnificent try, a bursting try from Australia. Yes, they're living the dream here still, and the Commie Games snake charmers dug deep when they snared a deadly crate slithering about the village. Just as well as this item does have a very nasty nip. Crate, according to some, the most deadly snake in the world. But I'll put our, red-belly black up against the crate anytime you like to blow the whistle. Now, coming up today, of course, we've got the, two terrific events. The women's shooting, the 10-metre air pistol pairs, and shooting as well, men's 10-metre prone pairs. I love a prone pair. There's nothing more attractive than a prone pair going bang together, coming as one. It's fantastic. And, of course, the women's pole. Not forgetting the women's pole. There's a lot to like about the women's pole. And now a man who believes the Commonwealth Games are as important, has an important future because he maintains that every real Aussie loves to see our sporting stars bending busted-ass countries over the Commodore bonnet, putting chili on the stick and shoving it in and out. So what if it costs $10 billion? This delicious pleasure is worth every cent. This man is rampaging Roy Slavin. Roy, what caught your eye here on the track in Delhi? High life?
Thank you very much, H.G. There's no place like home. That was my best last stupender. We lost La today, HG.
Was that acknowledged here in Delhi?
No, it hasn't been all that much. I thought it would have made a bigger noise here in Delhi than it has done because for many years she was the voice of the Commonwealth Games. She was the voice of the century, the voice of the millennium, the voice of the last 4,000 years.
Right.
They say she's the... I know records are a little bit flimsy when you go back, say, to 2000 BC. It's a bit hard to say, reading the notes of how good voices were, but I think Lars probably the greatest voice that's ever been with us, HG.
Were you a big fan, Roy?
I was a huge fan.
You liked her Romeo and Juliet?
She was the best Juliet ever.
Mm-hmm.
The best Juliet ever. And that Lucia la Mamamor
that
she did was that just... Covent Garden has never been the same.
Did we see the best of last year?
Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm.
We did. We saw it time and time again.
Mm-hmm. Is that an accurate impression of what she sounded like? I suppose as close as the human voice could get.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Is that better than playing a record?
I think so. Yeah.
You
remember when she did that? Actually, it might have been 1988. When something to do with the Opera House. She was at the Opera House. She said goodbye, and she sang "There's No Place Like Home," and it just brought
tears to eyes.
Yes.
Is that one where you see the streamers?
Yes.
And Bobby Hawke in the audience.
Yes, Bobby Helpman there. Yeah, with
Bobby Helpman there and Bob Hawke.
Bobby Helpman, was he there as well?
You just said
with Bob Hawke. Richard Bonning.
Yeah.
Was there.
Yeah.
God almighty, he can conduct. Put those two together. Him with a stick, her not. Anyway, Hockey-roo coach Frank Murray to retire, HG. Speaking of last stupender, after the gold medal showdown between Australia and New Zealand or South Africa. Now, it's after 21 years. Hard to imagine for 21 years.
He's
21
been
years he's been
coach.
coaching at the highest level. Wen Ziliang of Singapore beat Jeff Tho. This is in the cock. 25-33, 21-16. Very disappointing there. I had big raps on Tho. I thought he might have medalled in the cock.
Right.
Wasn't to be.
A lot of people have come for the cock.
I know they have.
The big fields.
I know they have.
Very big fields.
In the mixed doubles, it's been a disaster, really. Chowviran in the women's doubles beat Balan and Muktakar of India. Smith and Worf defeated by Swan Hakle of Malaysia. So it hasn't been all that good. It hasn't been all beer and skittles in the cock. So
Are you calling for a probe, Roy?
I think we're going to have a probe into that and boxing.
Oh.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Now, you know how I go on a little bit about Reg Spears?
Yes.
I mightn't have mentioned him in this Commonwealth Games coverage.
You haven't? No.
He's the Adelaide, oddly enough, it won't surprise you when I say javelin thrower, represented Australia at the highest level in the javelin at the Commonwealth Games. I think they were in Cardiff in 1964. This is going back a bit.
Gee, that was a great Games. That
was a great Games. And Reg went over and hurled the javelin.
Yeah.
You know, and did pretty well by all accounts. Probably not of quite a standard, but he was inspired by the dream of the Commonwealth Games glory of coming from South Australia. No one's ever heard of Adelaide really on the world stage in these days. He bursts out of there saying, "I can hurl, give me a go." Sadly, he runs out of money when he's in Cardiff. There was no sort of chef de mission he could go to, or who had enough money to buy him a plane ticket back. So he decides to put himself inside a box. Yeah. And not a bad idea. I've always thought it was quite a good thing if anybody got stuck for a return airfare, they could put themselves in a box and freight themselves home. He took in
on a boat, actually? On a boat?
No, it was in an airplane.
Airplane, right.
The trouble was, the only trick was that they didn't realise they'd parked the plane on the Bombay, in those days, Mumbai airport apron for a day and a half. So they were stuck in the hold of the plane in sweltering conditions, almost killed him. But when
did he have the presence of mind to take a bottle of water with him or anything?
He did. He took us some supplies, a few dates, and a couple of cashew nuts.
Yeah. And what about taking a dump, HG? Was there a special part of the box that
was dump compliant? I assume so. Yeah. Much in the manner of
Did
the
he talk about
Chilean
that
miner.
much? Does he talk about that much?
No, look, I haven't read his book. And the chapters, I understand there's several chapters donated to or set aside about how to...
What hell in the box?
The hell in the box. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Some people, he said, people in India, the black hole of Calcutta, it wasn't a lot dissimilar.
No, it would have been exactly
the
same.
Can I just say that
what a tremendous insight it gave him, though.
It did.
That's really experiencing India without seeing a thing.
He was there experiencing the best that India can offer.
Exactly.
In the airplane.
Exactly.
To bring him home. Now, we've got another moment of those because obviously Deepika Kumari, the daughter of a rickshaw driver.
Oh, yes.
Now, she's created what I'd call a Spears-like moment at the Commonwealth Games. She honed her target skills for archery by throwing stones at mangoes in the trees and would not stop until all the mangoes had fallen down. You can see it now, can't you?
I can.
This young Indian person with a dream to represent India at the Games, the 19th Commonwealth Games. Archery was her go, but she didn't have a bow and arrow. She was too poor to have a bow and arrow. So she picked up rocks, which were free, around her village and threw them at the mangoes in the trees. That was the only thing she could think of with the way of honing her skills.
It would have bruised the mangoes, though, HG, wouldn't it have?
I don't think she was necessarily worried about eating them.
Oh, okay. I thought the mangoes might have been grown as a source of income.
It could easily be. But
in which case it was a huge penalty she paid.
I think mangoes are fairly easy to grow in certain parts of India.
Yeah, I imagine so, yeah.
A bit like, I was going to say...
F&Q.
Well, indeed. Or what's it, Mariba is it the
mango capital of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kensington Prides, they're magnificent at the moment. Now...
If a little expensive.
Yes, true. Wait a couple of weeks and they'll come down in price. Now, until she hit the national archery scene, Deepika had just handmade bows and arrows to practice with. Isn't that beautiful? In
the old days, actually, in the days of, say, Richard III or indeed, Richard the Lionheart.
Richard the Lionheart.
Don't tell me that Robin Hood didn't make his own bow, his own longbow. He did. Of course he did. You'd go to a yew tree, I think, HG, was one of the great timbers. And, of course, the laminated bow, this might have been invented by I want to say Philip of Macedon and the people on the steps.
Wow.
The laminated bow, which gave it tremendous strength. And you were able then to fire the bow.
Say 500 kilometres?
No, from the horse.
Oh, okay, yes.
And that's when the stirrup was invented, HG, so you could fire a bow.
Now you're talking about Genghis Khan.
Yes.
He was the...
Yeah, but the laminated bow changed world history. Changed world history. Now, did she make herself a laminated bow?
No, she looked... You know, she didn't have the internet. She couldn't look up things and say, how do you make a good bow?
Well, yeah, but they didn't have the internet back in Genghis Khan's time either. They just figured these things out. Trial and error. She had plenty of time. Don't tell me it was just stones and mangoes. She had plenty of time to bloody well think.
I'm pretty sure you'll find they had a primitive sort of internet in Genghis Khan's time.
All right.
Smoke signals.
Oh, smoke signals.
Now, look, why I raise this is because this is a fabulous wrinkle on the Alex Croak story, who obviously got gold the other night.
Oh, this is our dual discipline champion.
Good, yes, in the gymnastics and now the diving.
Yeah.
Now, her coach told Alex that when she won gold, this week, that somebody from the archery rang up and said, when she's finished with the diving, could you pass her on to us, as she'd probably make a very good archery,
Well, they can tell just by looking at someone that they'll be a good archer.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that how it works?
Well,
I've always wondered that. What makes someone step forward as an archer?
Well,
it's just the look of them.
That's right.
It's a hunch thing.
It is a hunch thing. And obviously, I think that she's got the discipline and dedication to move from one sport to another. Therefore, the archery community thinks she could make the step further and probably go on and throw the discus as she bulks up a bit later in life.
Yeah, right.
I think it's a discipline thing they're looking at more than necessarily, she's got those shoulders that make a good archer.
Yeah. Oddly enough, with archery, actually, the most important things are your fingers.
That's right. Strengthen the fingers and steady hands.
Yes. In fact, and this is an interesting tie-up, actually, I suppose, seeing that some cyclist gave the judges the bird.
Yeah.
The bird used to be given.
Shane Pearson.
Showing your enemy that you are capable of firing an arrow. Showing those two fingers up.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Right.
My word.
Right. And if you had one finger, they'd laugh at you.
They'd laugh at you.
That's why the middle finger goes up,
Yes.
it?
Mm-hmm.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Of course, kids with dreams in India today, Roy, they could be thinking of the Gold Coast, which we need to talk about. Where to for the Commie Games after?
Well, that's 218, isn't it, HG?
Yeah. Where are we? 8 from it. Yeah, you're right. Sorry,
Yeah.
218.
Yeah.
So if you were
if you were 10 years old or 8 years old.
Yeah.
It's
Gold
irresistible, isn't it, the Gold
I know,
Coast? You'd be
meeting-
picturing it. You'd be picturing it. You'd be meeting Ron Clark.
I know. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And how about the Gold Coast Suns meeting Gary Ablett?
Yes.
They've never heard of Gary Ablett, but just to imagine.
Carmichael Hunt.
The dual code
Yes.
man.
Yes.
The code hopper.
Code hopper, yeah.
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
My word.
Now, look, one thing that's a bit of a disappointment here for the first time in 36 years. Now, I can't do the maths quickly enough, but where would 36 take us back to? It'd take us back to 74.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Commie Games in 74, I wonder where they were.
74. Oh, Lord.
Anyway, just
Lord,
speculate
I
on
don't
that.
know. Well, let's just...
Say at Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Okay. For all that time, we've won medals in boxing.
Yes, we have.
Australia will leave the Commonwealth Games without a medal in boxing this year.
That's the first time in 36 years. Actually.
Australian coach Bodo Andreas is stunned. He returned to the village last Saturday night and just sat there silent after all 4 boxers fought that night and lost their quarterfinal bouts, 1 bout short of a medal. All 4 lost their quarterfinal bouts.
Look, I didn't see as much of the boxing as I wanted to, HG. Were they all suffering from the same malady? Like they were getting hit too often and not punching the other people as often? I mean, is it as simple as that?
I think you've summed it up. Give us that again, that melody. They're getting hit too often, not hitting their opponent enough.
Yes.
I think
if that's the problem, then we know what we're working with. Yeah. We know where to go, don't we? We've got to work on our defence, i.e. those elusive skills, i.e. bobbing the head, weaving, ducking and diving,
moving
gloves
away.
up, moving away, and then being able to let one go, knowing when to let one go.
Are you, in fact, calling for... Well, apparently it was in Christchurch, New Zealand in 74.
Oh, right.
Gee, that is a long time ago.
It is a long time. So long ago, I don't know.
That it was there?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure that's true.
No.
I mean, it might have been, but it's one of those, you don't remember much about it, do you?
You see, a trivia question, if you were saying going out to a fundraiser tonight, say, for the local footy club, and the trivia question came up, 36 years ago, the Commonwealth Games thrilled the world.
Yes.
Where were they held?
Yes. If you said Christchurch, you'd be laughed out of the pub.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Now, are you suggesting that when this team gets back, we're going to have to employ a defensive coach, put him up,
Yes.
and an attacking coach? Jab,
Yes.
combo, left, right, jab, all that sort of
I
stuff.
think that's right. I think we've got to deconstruct boxing because something's not working. It's not adding up.
No.
I mean, we have big, fit blokes who love punching, who don't mind being hit, who can wear a punch, who like wearing shorts and don't mind looking, seeing themselves in gloves. Now, there's no shortage of blokes. There's no shortage of people willing to do this. So what's gone wrong? The legacy of Arthur Tunstall, isn't it?
It is.
We're living with the legacy now of Arthur Tunstall, i.e. no bloody medals. Well, it's not good enough. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing for every Australian.
Do you know what-
Every Australian, HG.
Can look, I don't want to interrupt you mid-flow, but what's embarrassing to me is we get 64 gold.
Yeah.
64 gold. Our nearest competitor,
Yeah.
India, has 31 gold.
Yes.
This is a pushover competition. These are busted-ass countries.
Yeah.
These are people who don't even have the money amongst them to string up rope around 4 palm trees and call it a ring. I mean, we're dealing with the most ordinary of oppositions here, and we can't land a punch.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I know.
I mean, it's not as though it's against, I was going to say Muhammad Ali, obviously, or it's not as though it's the might of Cuba or America we're dealing with here, or Egypt, where they know how to rig a scorecard.
They certainly do. Take
Fact.
a hat off to them, yeah.
Why? That's the other way to go, is start rigging a
There's
few
no
scorecards.
powerhouse here. There's only one powerhouse represented at this Commonwealth Games, and that's Australia. And it's
Thanks,
a
Roy.
powerhouse. It's a powerhouse without any boxers.
Without any punch.
How must our boxing team feel? Everyone must be sniggering when they're going to the canteen.
Here they
The
come.
general group area where everyone hangs, and talks about the issues and aren't we doing well? And, oh, look at our medal count. And, hey, swimmers, hello, going back soon? Or are you staying for oh, yeah, good on you, you've done so well. Now, what are the boxers doing? Where do they go?
Well, they're standing in the corner.
They're
Roy.
standing in the corner being sniggered at, whispered about. But not so much the athletes, the coaching staff.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
There's a lot of that walking
There's
up
nowhere
with
to hide.
with a plate of spaghetti bolognese and bumping into them. Oh, sorry, Elliot.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Bodo.
Yeah.
Tipping it all over him.
Yes.
I mean, he's worn out most of his clothes.
Yeah.
It just,
I'm sure that's right. And I'm sure, a lot of the gymnasts have been putting those kick me, I'm stupid signs on the back of the boxes. Well, I was going to say it's a bit cruel, but no, fair's fair.
Yeah.
Fair's fair. They come here with big raps.
You see, what the difficulty I've got with it is you can't use the expression Australia is punching above its weight. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Because
not
it's
anymore. It's a metaphor that's been lost to us, isn't it?
for a generation.
Yes.
For a generation. I mean, if we'd got, say, 4 or 5 gold and, say, maybe half a dozen silver
Yes.
to season our medal tally,
Yeah.
then you could use that expression with confidence.
Yes.
But and doesn't London look bleak now?
Oh, it doesn't.
Because that's what they're so important to set the tone here in the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
With a lot of sports with London lurking.
Well, in this, I don't. You may have an answer, H. You may not. But have we heard anything from the Sports Minister, Mark Arbib?
No, well, I think he might have been back in Australia on Q&A last
Well, even if
night.
he's back in Australia, surely he must be, he must be in lockdown. Lockdown.
With
With
embarrassment.
people banging on his door. The Prime Minister saying, Arbib!
Yeah.
Hey, Arbib! What are you doing about boxing? And what is he doing about boxing? I hope he's doing something. And I hope it's not just going to be some, arm's length bloody committee established.
Or
I want him
inquiry.
involved.
Yeah. Would you like to see him in there with gloves?
Well, I want to
taking a
see
few?
him. Yes.
Well, that would be fantastic because, let's face it, he's a factional warlord.
He's a warlord.
Now, what I like about the Q&A was there was not one question about boxing.
Oh.
That show, what's his
Yeah,
name?
Q&A.
Tony Jones.
Tony Jones, yeah.
Runs,
Yeah,
back in Australia.
Yes.
Monday nights, I think it is, around about
Okay.
9:30.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
No, well, we're here.
Of course.
Yeah.
And what were they talking about boxing?
They
They had a
weren't.
boxing special. Tony Jones, Q&A, boxing special.
Well, they should be. That's this Monday.
Oh, okay. Well, that I'll watch if our Bib's there.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Well, we've got some netball up at the moment. We're not sure whether it's live or not, but the score at quarter time is Australia 12, sadly, England 12.
Yes, it's neck and neck, isn't it? We don't know what's become of Catherine Cox. We've seen her around the village.
Yeah.
But
We saw her in earlier matches.
Yeah.
We hope that she's not injured here
No.
because, or down with the dreaded.
Yeah.
Now,
so if the chef de mission is across this, if he could let us know.
It would be fantastic.
It would be great.
Be fantastic. Now, Roy, emails are starting to fill through to the shocks of your life, and one comes from Dave. He's enjoyed our recent coverage, especially our the Aussie tilt and the cock, which we've been covering extensively on the shocks of your life. And this
disappointing results in the cock.
I was just going to say, this harkens back to your opening.
Yeah.
After a great start by the Aussies knocking over the might of the Seychelles, the Isle of Man and Nigeria, the green and gold fizzled out a bit going down to Malaysia and Singapore. I'm just wondering what can be done to ensure the Aussies can take the next step and bring home the bling of green and gold at the next games, the bling for green and gold in the next games. Yeah. Can we raise the cock profile here in Oz somehow to ensure future champions are coming through the cock system with cock dreams? We don't want to be, we just don't want to be competitive. We want to take the next step and become one of the big boys of cock on the world scene. I think Australian television really needs to get behind the cock by televising more games or even This Week in Cock, a show devoted to this exciting sport. We need bigger tournaments shown live on TV with prize money to lure the greats of cock to our shores. Now, that echoes the thoughts of James. He says, with Swimming Australia's need to shorten incredibly long words like butterfly into fly and freestyle into free. He adds, this is a brilliant time-saving device. Perhaps it's time to add this idea to the entire Games events. A thon could replace marathon.
Oh, good, yeah.
Herd for hurdles, sticks for gymnastics, and I'd love to the day when Steve Quartermain could talk openly about cocks in the 7 p.m. time slot like you've pioneered on Shocks of Your Life.
Yeah. Well, certainly we do need to attend to what's going on with Australian cock because it would appear that we've fallen behind. Not that we were ever at the cutting edge. You know, Australia's never been a big cock country, has it? Let's face it. You know, we can punch above our weight in all sorts of, obviously not boxing anymore, but
no, most sports
in fact,
except boxing
and cock.
Yeah, well, obviously cock. Yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah. So, look, I would suggest, to begin with, a few letters to the Sports Minister.
Oh, and who is that, Roy?
That'd be our bib, wouldn't it?
It would.
Yeah.
And how could you imagine what the tone of the letter would be? Dear Mark Arbib, we noticed you were in Delhi and wondered if
you'd strayed across to have a look at what was happening with the devastation of Australian cock. Yes, you can do that. Yes, or leave him a message. Phone him up. Just leave a message there at Parliament House. Hey, Arbib! What are you doing about Aussie cock?
Roy and HG on Triple M.
We've had the time of our life here.
We have.
It's just been great. Now, what are you looking forward to tonight? We've got the, for instance, I mentioned already the 50-metre prone pairs for men. That's always exciting.
It is very good.
Especially if, the boys get close to each other.
I think what you were saying to me earlier, there were 20 golds going off today.
20 golds. 20 golds.
Yep.
We got the rugby sevens finals coming up.
Australia's doing quite well there.
They're beating Kenya, though.
Kenya, we tore their defence apart.
Yeah, I know, but remember we got clobbered by England. It's just a pub side we've got there. I don't know, I'm not...
You mean we haven't taken it seriously? The sevens? I hope you're wrong. I'm expecting very high-quality sevens from the Australians.
I'm
hoping. Now, the disappointing thing is, actually, I was hoping I'd been put down to address our netballers this evening after their match that they're playing against England.
Right.
Because they're obviously going to the gold medal, probably against New Zealand. But I'm not sure what the status is should they fall over.
Right. Why don't you go and give, you've got a terrific, tight 30 or 40 minutes on why you shouldn't be allowed back to Australia if you lose. And I think that would be exactly the sort of speech that the girls...
Very, very sobering for them.
It would.
If they're
thinking about going home. They may not, because a lot of them would have jobs, say, in England.
Oh, I suppose so.
Or other parts of
that's
the world.
True. Yeah.
Now, I noticed the theatre choice tonight is when we Dead Awaken at the Sri Ram Centre. That'll be terrific.
Yes. Look, is it one of these 3.5-hour Bollywood films, HG, with a lot of singing and dance? I love all that.
Yeah. I think this is a play version of that, though. It's a stage version. I wouldn't be surprised to see it done in homage with black bands because of La dropping off the twig.
Okay. Well, that could be one to go. You're going to that?
I'm going to that. Yeah, I'm going to swerve past talking to the netballers because, look, they don't need me.
Well, they're going to be down in the dumps.
Yeah.
They're going to be down in the dumps if they've lost. So I might just not turn up. I might just go to the pictures.
Anyway, 20. I noticed there's a parasport open women's bench press powerlifting. That's always interesting.
Yeah.
And the might have mentioned the teams rhythmic finals and the men's 1,500 metres. So it's all here. And the 4x400. Oh, no! The 4x400 men's.
That's Stefo's event.
Sadly, Stefo won't be here. I wonder how Australia goes.
Well, we could imagine what Stefo would be like, what the team would be like if... Are there any vestiges of the Silver Bullets there, HG?
Well, I was just going to say, this is the Silver Bullets event. Remember Athens?
Yeah, I do.
Team of no-names. But Stefo obviously
up.
let him out,
Yeah.
and he stepped up. And, of course...
And then stepped back.
So, look, join us tomorrow for more Shocks of the News. It's been a terrific day here. Obviously, great success for Australia. And we'll be starting to think about... in the next couple of days with the games finishing on Thursday, about where to for the games from now.
Yes.
Gold Coast is a realistic possibility. And what this means, this incredible success, the 70 medals, I think we're up to 70 already, aren't we? Oh, yeah, no, we're up to 94.
Yeah.
The 94 medals vis-a-vis London, 2012. It's not that far away.
What the implications are.
The implications,
We might be able to draw the coordinates and
Well,
say, all right, okay, we've got 145 medals here total. I'm expecting well over 200. What is that going to mean in London? Probably, 4 or 5?
See you tomorrow. Bye now.
Roy and HG on Triple M. Roy and HG on Triple M.
Sunil DPP Vansaka from the All India Radio in the Triple M Subcontinental Soundproof booth. Hello, Australia! And welcome to the Shocks of Your Life for the second last time. And I have a feeling that tomorrow could be a very emotional day here at the Shocks of Your Life desk in Delhi. Welcome to Triple M's continuing coverage of the 19th Commonwealth Games. Our Games golden shower, when I last looked, had filled the big bath to overflowing. The medal tally stands at 68 gold, 45 silver and 40 brown when I last looked, but it may have improved since then. The competition, my very good friends, fellow Australians, has been, I was going to use a word like obliterated. That's not quite right. It has completely disappeared, is a better way of putting it, under a thick layer of shag pile laid on top of a good depth of underfelt. Don't have to tell you what colour. And what about those silver bullets in the men's 4x400 relay? They went in without big gun John Stephenson blazing, and they brought it home. They brought home gold. And the celebrations, what was all that about? What was all that about? I'd need a psychologist to explain it all. They went off in celebrations. It reminded me of the American 4x400 team and the 4x100 team in Sydney, Australia. Both teams were warned at the Olympics, of course, by IOC officialdom to tone down the post-win celebrations. It was simply, I understood it and interpreted it for people here who are a bit puzzled, as an explosion of golden joy as the boys in Dumb Show bellowed, "Thank you, India." I think that's about as close as I could get anyway. Sadly, our shield is powdered. The fourth hole was far too great for Pearso. Plucky Pearso went down and collapsed after the run. But crisis is an opportunity here in the subcontinent. Pearso's flopperoo allowed a plucky Indian side a chance at a top-step finish. It was their Kathy Freeman moment, and they deserved it. Sevens, and our top pub side dipped out in the final with the gold going to New Zealand 24-17. And Roya has all the highlights coming up in a moment of that magnificent win by the New Zealanders. Incidentally, the netballers, roughly at the same time, well, they dodged a bullet, to coin a phrase, and heard a wake-up call. That's right, a wake-up call. Ding-dong, Aussie Diamonds, against a top English side. They went, obviously, the Poms went down by a few. But there was late Aussie gold from Alana Boyd on the pole, and Jared Bannister hurled the sharpened pole for a big win. Plus a quick mention of our prone pairs, who we gave some publicity to yesterday. Our prone pairs over 50 metres, they were incredible. They potted the brown. Look, it was a difficult shoot. They came into it underdone. They ran out of ammo halfway through. They shot a few other targets that didn't belong to them. But anyway, they battled on, can I just say, in the Australian way. I believe if Tony Abbott had been there with his gun work, it might have helped them out. I don't know whether a threesome can get in the pairs, but I'd like to think so. Anything seems to happen here in India. The Australian Golden Team, that is our Golden Team, has decided to march in the closing ceremony Thursday. That's, it's only a few hours away really now, 3:40 Eastern Summer Time in Australia, 3:40 a.m. Eastern Summer Time. And there was a lot of chat they might swerve past the closing ceremony. But the Games organisers have assured athletes that they won't be stuck in the black hole of Calcutta on the way in as they were for the opening stink. And late breaking news, and I think our news might have got that in Australia, Cootsy will carry the flag, a real star that we've unearthed here in the pool in Delhi. We didn't know much about the Alicia Coots story before we got here, but now we know everything there is to know. Cootsy will be carrying the flag. And now, even though the games are winding down, look, let's face it, we're still living the dream here. The afterglow of this golden dream is really visible here to everybody who's involved. You know, I say congratulations once again, and that's really all that matters. And now, a man who has taken Steve Waugh's advice, and that is embracing India. Steve Waugh said you couldn't win in India unless you embraced it. This man is wrapping both arms around the joint and loving it. Last night I caught him at the local, hoeing into a vegetarian samosa with a bowl of aloo gobi to follow. Gives you an idea of how far off the page he has wandered. That man is rampaging, Roy Slavin. What caught your eye overnight here at the track and field in Delhi? Aussie Diamond.
Yeah, thanks very much, A.C. Nelson. And God almighty, I've fallen in love with clarified butter.
Have you, Roy?
I love clarified butter.
How about chai?
Yeah.
Chai?
Oh, yeah. A cup of chai. Nothing like a cup of chai.
And don't they make it well? It's a real thing.
It is indeed. Just a cup of chai, thank you. And give me one. Just give me a cup of clarified butter. That'll do me, thank you. Nothing like it. And as you did right, those vegetable samosas. They're great. I don't know what they put in them. I don't want to know. No. That's the thing about eating here. It's best not to ask questions.
And it gives you a great, what would I say, perspective on Australian Indian cuisine, which is, a cuisine that's left India a long time ago.
Yeah, look, a lot of people said that, the best Indian cuisine is in Australia. That's not right. No. It's not right. You've got to come to New Delhi. Mm-hmm. You've got to come to New Delhi. That's where you get your ghee, the proper ghee. The proper ghee. Mm-hmm. You know, the ghee that, I don't know, it's not like eating fat at all. It's not. It's like eating something else. Mm-hmm. Now,
there's a sweetness to it, isn't
there? There is. It's a sweet fat. And I've tried to pin down the, not that many of them speak English, it's a bit hard. My Urdu is not great. Trying to pin them down. Just what is it about this? Clarified. Fat. That sets it apart. Why is it so sweet? You put sugar in it. I said, you put sugar in it, sweet. Put honey in it. No, they assured me. No.
Do you know New Delhi is the spiritual home of clarified fat?
I had no idea. Wouldn't surprise me. That's the funny thing about this funny old town. Nothing surprises you in the end, does it? Right. It constantly surprises, and yet nothing surprises you.
You come with expectations.
That's the tension. That's the tension. Everything and nothing, isn't it? Mm. So I'd advise every Australian to just taste New Delhi once in your life before you say goodbye. Now, no 100-metre women's relay team for Australia. I don't know why. I can get nothing out of Athletics Australia. They've shut up shop when it comes to dealing with the media. And more's the pity, because it just means more people are going to be sniffing around asking questions vis-a-vis possible corruption. Yes, you've heard it here first. Athletics Australia, corruption. And no 100 metres women's relay team. I mean, Sally Pearson, she was there. She was ready. 100 metres, that's her go.
Yeah, it is her go.
She was the gold medalist unofficially. Well, let's put it this way. She didn't win the gold medal, but she was the fastest. Now, she'd have been a great anchor rather than putting her in the 400 metres that nearly killed her. I thought she was dead. I said to HG, she's dead. Now, a good thing, HG.
She ran the last 50 metres in a coma. I've never seen that before in my life.
No, I know. She was brain dead.
Unbelievable.
Brain dead.
And
the only thing moving were her legs. Mm-hmm. The heart had stopped. Lungs had stopped. Anything that that normally you would measure life by, all those vital signs, they were all gone. It was just Aussie will, that heavenly spirit that's blown into Aussies at birth.
That green and gold spirit, Roy.
Thank you.
I like that idea. Yeah. I mean, she had it.
She had it. She's got it, writ large. Writ large.
Brilliant.
So it's no surprise then that she's to lead the hunt for Australia's next track star.
I saw that.
God almighty, hasn't she done enough?
Oh.
When is enough when it comes to Sally Pearson? She just keeps putting her hand up. And I'm hoping there are a couple of events she can still enter between now and tomorrow night. I don't know if she's ever fired a gun or thrown something, but God almighty, I'd back her. Yeah. If we need another medal somewhere along the line, she'd be the one.
It's never too late to start, Roy.
Exactly. Now, Aussies are now queuing up to get to the Taj Mahal. Remember, they were a bit standoffish when we first got here, actually. They were very standoffish, not game. Bit worried about,
things going bump in the night.
The unmentionables, i.e., getting gastric between here and there. Thankfully to this very sweet ghee that we've been. It sort of, I don't know, it blocks you up a bit, doesn't it, HG?
Oh, it certainly does.
You can have shock and gastric, have some of this sweet ghee, and suddenly you feel normal. It's
a real old-fashioned gummer.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? A bowbinder, they call it here.
Bowbinder.
That's talking to the chef, through his limited use of language. Or English language, that is.
How did you get that out of him? Did you point at the back door and
Yes,
go...
I did. Yeah.
And he said, no.
Yes.
He suggested he had a hole and shoved the fist into it?
Yeah. Indumption.
Fair enough.
Yeah. As HG's pointed out, I think one of the great medals is this Jared Bannister winning gold in the javelin. I mean, this bloke's come from nowhere. This bloke had never thrown anything before in his life. He's the male Sally Pearson in our team, as far as I can tell. And what a great Australia. I mean, again, that spirit. That green and gold spirit blown into him, blown in from heaven. That's the only way I can explain it.
And he only discovered it last week.
Yeah.
He didn't realise. He looked in the mirror and said,
who am I?
Who am I? There's a real hint of green and gold about me.
Yeah.
Better get to the Olympics.
Olympics?
Yes, push it on.
Well, London.
It's calling.
Calling. My word, it is.
Jared Bannister, come on down.
Yeah, and listen, we don't often steal ideas on this program, but today we are. We noticed on the breakfast television in New Delhi here this morning, they were running a poll. Who is funnier, Brad McEwen or Bill Woods? I haven't seen the results yet. They'll be announcing them tomorrow in their breakfast program, so we'll share that with you, obviously, tomorrow night. But if people want to get involved, give us a call here and let us know what you think.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Now, India took full advantage of the absence of Australian discus star Dami Samuels to secure its first Commonwealth Games athletic medal in 52 years. Now, I think yesterday we were talking about how Australia is leaving these games without a boxing medal for the first time in 52 years, I think it is.
Yeah. Well, in 19 Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
Puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And the first woman, Krishna Punia, produced a 61.51-metre throw to lead the country's first sweep of medals in a Games track and field event. Harawant Kaur, 60.16, took silver, and Serena Antil, 58.46, took bronze. The previous gold was won by Mika Singh in the 440 yards. Gee, that's going back in Cardiff, 58. Now, that might have been the games Reg Spears went to. We often mention Reg Spears, the bloke who sent
himself back.
Yeah, posted himself back in a box. Almost killed himself in Mumbai airport. Now, look, that needs to be set aside against the...
Why didn't we have... what was it? Was it an injury problem, HG, or was lack of interest? Or
Danny Samuels worried about the circumstance in which the games might go ahead in. And, you have to respect people's decision about that.
Yes,
but my point is, why didn't Australian athletics... Again, you're querying the 4x100 metres women's team, absent.
Yeah.
Very noticeable by its absence. Why didn't, say, the Australian athletics fast track a shooter? Yeah. And I want to say...
why didn't they ask Sally Pearson?
Well, exactly. Sally Pearson or Alethea
She'd have had a go at it.
She would have had a go at it. And don't tell me that she couldn't have been competitive.
Of course she would have been competitive. I mean, she only had to throw at 61.51 metres.
I know. I think that...
She'd do that with a left arm.
You know what's starting to worry me about Sally Pearson? I don't like using this term connected with a champ, but un-Australian? Because she wouldn't have a go at the discus?
But nobody's saying she didn't have a go at it. I bet you she didn't even know that there was a hole there to be filled. Because she'd have done it. Honestly, she'd have done it.
Well, I take
If I
that
know Sally
slur
Pearson,
back.
you take that. Yeah, I would take that back.
Fair enough.
Because she'd have done it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm prepared to say that she would have run I don't know if it's legal or not, but with the 100 metres relay, she'd have run the 4 legs. She would have run the 4 legs. She would have, if given the chance.
Right. Now, I'm just worried about how you pass the baton to yourself. But
I don't know what the legalities are of this. I don't know whether you just throw it in the air and catch it. I don't know.
Yeah. How about this? You have a runner in the changeover zone who runs, and you overtake the runner that you've given the baton to, and off you go again.
Yeah, well, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it's up to the officials to work that out, the minutiae of it. But she'd have done it. She'd have done it. Yes, yeah.
Now,
I was embarrassed when I heard that we didn't have anyone hurling the discus in the women's.
Look, I saw you go off, and you actually...
I know.
I mean, mercifully, our Bib isn't here because I know he would.
I know he would have copped an earful. He would have, and he still will.
Mm-hmm.
He still will.
It's a very disappointing development. Those two things, no discus, entrant, and the 4x100 women's relays, they're just big blights. They're big holes. They were gold we could have plucked.
Yeah,
gold we could have plucked, Roy.
Yeah. I mean, is this the first time in the
wonderful
history of the Commonwealth Games that we haven't had a 100 metres relay women's team? I'm prepared to say it's the first. The first time.
We used to have 4x110 metres in the old days. It's in Cardiff.
But that was yards.
Yards, it was yards. But I'm saying, the event translates to 4x100 metres.
Metres, it does.
And it's roughly the equivalent. Great spectacle, Roy. Spectacle. And you only have to see that when you realise there were silver bullets coming home in first place in the 4x400 men's. Imagine that shrunk.
I know.
And all the drama, excitement.
Yeah.
I
know.
Now,
it would have been wonderful. And we had, the fastest there.
Yeah.
We had the phone Sally, ready to run, baton in hand, saying, "Where are the others?
How about
Where
this?
are the others?
Yeah.
Discus back there in a locker there. If she'd known, if she'd known,
I know. If she'd known, it's a communication breakdown, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and you've got to look to the chef de mission.
Yeah,
you've got to say, Monaghan, where's your head?
Roy and HG on Triple M.
From New Delhi for the second last time. You hadn't gone quickly, Roy.
It has.
Now, I don't want to turn this into the Sally Pearson show, but just 2 items I want to
try. What a great idea. Yeah. What a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been raised before, the possibility of a Sally Pearson show?
No, you mean with management in Australia?
Yes.
No, dealing with management in Australia is like.
Yeah.
Now, it took a hell of a knock because her whole games thing seems to have been some sort of jinx has affected it. Her saga here took another knock when it emerged that she had been wrongly credited with a games record. While the Australian sprinter continued to condemn the Nigerian drug cheats, Pearson, obviously stripped of a gold in the 100 metres, has lost the Commonwealth Games record for the 100 metres hurdle, a record that was wrongly credited to her when she crossed the line in first place in the women's final. Commonwealth Games spokesperson Bridget Foster Hilton of Jamaica confirmed that Bridget Foster Hilton of Jamaica had set a true record of 12.65 seconds in the Melbourne Games in a heat. Right. The spokesman said the confusion arose from the fact that Pearson had posted the fastest time in a final, not a Games record, but the fastest time in a final.
Right.
So there you go. I don't have a Games record. It doesn't bother me, said Pearson to us.
Well, it wouldn't bother her. I don't think it'd bother her.
Yeah. What she's more worried about
It'd take more than that to upset her, I reckon, given the hell she's been through.
Exactly, and she's more upset by the fact that she didn't realise no one was representing Australia in the discus.
Yes, I know, and I accept that.
Now,
I accept it. I tell you what, she'd give back all her gold medals, HG, just to have a shot at that discus.
Yeah, even if she came silver.
Yeah.
She'd be happy with that. Now, an exhausted Pearson said from a coma.
Yes.
Around about 3:40 this morning, the 4x400, that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, apart from missing out on the discus.
Yep.
After collapsing and vomiting at the conclusion of Australia's 4x400 metre relay, Pearson, an 11th hour call-up for the relay team. 11th hour call-up. She wasn't selected in it.
No.
Doubled over after crossing the line in 5th place and had to be assisted by very concerned team officials.
Yep.
I'm good now, but it's just the next 10 or 15 minutes after the run. It's the hardest thing to get over, she said for the Fairfax media.
Was it build-up of lactic acid, HG?
It was. Absolutely right, Roy. Yeah. You pulled through and you have to keep moving as much as possible, and that's what I did. I can't even remember the last time I ran the 400. See, that's the spirit of this girl.
Yeah. I don't think she's ever run a 400 before. She's saying that I don't remember the last time I did it because I don't think she's ever done it. No wonder she can't remember it, the poor little bugger.
And, of course, it's a trick running the 400 metres. They say it's the hardest event of all 400 metres.
That's true until you talk to 1,500-metre runners.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
And they tell you it's the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you talk to a 5,000-metre runner. And
or
they
10,000.
Yeah.
It's like the person with no shoes weeps for the man who's got no feet.
That's right. The person with no head weeps for the person with no
A
bow.
hat.
No
Yeah,
bow, yeah.
That's right. Now, she said, I tried so hard, but I just couldn't hold on to that third place. It was the hardest thing I've had to do in my life. I mean, she tried, green and gold, the spirit.
Yeah.
Did
anyone throw a watch over her time, HG? Because my understanding is that
it was a world record?
Not quite a world record, but I think she would have got bronze or silver in Sydney for that run. Kathy Freeman obviously would have come with gold, and then Sally would have got silver with that run she did in that fourth leg.
Yeah, that's just amazing. After the race, the Australian team spokesperson, unnamed, said Pearso would be okay, suffering from lactic acid build-up, as you suggested, which prompted a collapse and vomit.
Yes.
Team officials selected her to anchor the 4x400 relay at the expense of Lauren Bowden in a hope it would spur Australia's first three runners. Hang on a minute. There's something flawed about this. Spur Australia's first three runners, who are Jodie Henry, the former swimmer, Berenice Steinert, and Olivia Taro.
Well, see, if they wanted to, wouldn't it have been better to have a vomiting Pearso come in as your first runner to spur you on?
Well, exactly. Look what she's done.
Yes.
And don't tell me that runners, especially from other countries,
Yes.
run well with vomit on their shoes.
Yes.
If she'd contained the vomit and just blurted it out
Yes.
as they went into
the handover.
Exactly, in the changeover
Yes,
zone.
that would have been a terrific spur.
Exactly. To see
They
someone...
had an ass about, didn't they? Who is the clown running the show? Who's running the show with Athletics Australia?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You know?
I don't know. No 100-metre bloody relay team?
Mm-hmm.
Who's running the show?
Mm-hmm. Now, Jodie Henry, Roy, are you surprised as I was?
Yes, I was very surprised.
The former champion swimmer.
Yes.
Now reinvented herself as a 4x400-metre runner.
Yes.
Hell of a get.
It is a hell of a get.
It shows you the Australian spirit, though, doesn't
Totally
it?
different discipline, isn't it?
Well,
Totally different going from the pool to the track.
I hadn't thought of it quite like that. You're absolutely
Yeah,
right.
she's adapted incredibly well, though. Incredibly well.
Mm-hmm. And she doesn't seem to suffer from the coma problems that Pearso does.
No. Well, here it is, isn't it? I mean, you've got to ask yourselves of Australia's relay, 400 relay, and I don't want to bag any Australian, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it. It's not my go. But certainly it would appear that of the four, one was trying.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Now, Roy, look, something's happened. Obviously, tomorrow we'll spend a fair bit of time talking about where to now for the Commonwealth Games.
Yes.
And one of the places they look as though they might be going is to the Gold Coast.
Yeah. 2018.
2018.
Well, yeah.
I think
We've
you're
got
off.
2014 to worry about. Yeah, that's the one that's worrying me.
Right. Well, I thought that's decided it's going to Scotland somewhere.
Scotland,
Glasgow.
is it? Glasgow.
Yeah. Pretty sure it's going to Glasgow. But I saw blown into town last night the controversial Sri Lankan president, Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Oh, yeah,
and he's going to be guest of honour at the Games closing ceremony. Now, they're the main, Sri Lanka are the main country interested in having the Games. I don't think any other Commonwealth Games.
No, they haven't. But they didn't put in, they missed out. I mean, they had the opportunity. Anna Bligh went over.
Yeah, now, the PM's invite, this is the Sri Lanka's PM's invite, won't please human rights activists who accuse his government of failing to protect Tamil civilians caught up in the civil war. Oh, yeah. But organisers of the Gold Coast bid for 2018 are also worried. The president's hometown of Hambantota in southern Sri Lanka is the Gold Coast's only rival. So it does look as though the bid is back in, even though it was late.
And even though that town yet doesn't exist.
No, that's true. It doesn't exist.
They've got to build it yet.
Yeah, well, it's a sort of a swampy sort of area.
Yes, near a river. I understand that.
And which is largely affected by rising sea levels.
Yes.
So they're going to try and do a lot of reclamation work, like in Singapore.
Oh, yeah, or like Holland.
Yeah, like
polders.
Holland.
They'll put polders in, will they? Yeah, is that the idea?
That's right. Now, What do you think about this, Roy? Is there any way around this, or we just got to take our chances with the...
Well, it's up to the Commonwealth Games Committee, the faceless people who run the Commonwealth Games. Now, you either have rules or you don't. My understanding was there was a cut-off date. You put in your application by that particular date, might have been the 4th of this month.
October.
4th of October. And after that, that's it. You miss out. Miss the boat. Sorry. See the wharf? It's empty. Why? Because the boat left. Now, if they're deciding to bring the boat back just so this clown Paxer can climb on board with his putrid bid up against the beauty of the Gold Coast.
With Ronnie Clark being the mayor.
With Ron Clark, yeah.
People, let's not forget Ron Clark.
Is there a Sri Lankan Ron Clark? No.
No. Let's not forget Ron Clark lit the torch in the Melbourne Games in 1956. Now, I know you have to be a fair age. In fact, it's way beyond
Melbourne
my
Olympic
memory.
Games, actually.
Melbourne Olympic Games.
Yeah.
Olympic Games, not the Commie Games.
Not the Commie Games, no.
He'd love to have done that, but they wouldn't have him in the committee. They were shell-shocked.
Well, they weren't lighting anything in those days
No,
for
true.
the Commie Games.
No,
you
they
just
still
had to-
don't.
No, they don't.
Now, I'm just hopeful that this doesn't, St Kitts and Nevis, Bahamas,
Yes.
Kenya. Let's face it, they've all got a desire to have the Commonwealth Game because they've seen the magic.
Yeah, but they didn't put their bid in. There's
I
no
know,
bid in.
I know.
There's
What
no
I'm trying to
bid.
say, if the boat's coming back in, who's to say others won't climb on board? Is our bib doing anything about it? I doubt it. It's going to be down to you and me again, Roy, shooing them off with, best as we can with, say, a rake bought from Bunnings and a straw broom. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if this boat comes in, as sure as certain people, now that they've seen the glory and the majesty and the excitement that the Commonwealth Games brings, never mind the fact that no one's seen it here in India, separate problem.
No, that's a different issue. Well, I'll be terribly disappointed if Paxer and a number of other, busted ass outfits have the opportunity to bid against what has been a very professional bid, can I say, from Premier Bligh and her whole Commonwealth Games bid team.
Now, looking at the events of this evening, we've got underway at the moment the women's hockey final. Now, we've got the Hockeyroos, our Hockeyroos. They're 1-0 up against the might of New Zealand at the moment, and it's a very interesting match. I'd have to say possession is shared largely between both teams. I expect it hard for the Kiwis to hang on here, and it might open up in the second half because they say that playing hockey in these conditions is like running a marathon.
Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right there, HG. But there's a lot of rotations,
of course,
happening. A hell of a lot of rotations, which is great. I don't think it's as hard as say running the 440, or the 400 metres.
Can I say haven't yet seen people double over and vomit yet?
No.
Which I look forward to.
No.
Of course, in
Do we
hockey.
know if Pearson's playing in this match
She
for
is.
Australia?
She's on the bench at the moment. If you look now, the Kiwis have. He said they've dragged a penalty corner out of a rather.
I don't like.
Let's have a look at this. The ball comes in and it comes here, and then it bounces over towards the commentary position. And I suppose obstruction you'd have to rule there on the Australian.
Feet.
Yeah, feet and obstruction, and the poor old player's trying to get the feet. This Australian player. Now we should take this short corner because this could be an opportunity for the Kiwis to score
the
one
medal's
back.
right on the line here, isn't it? I mean, if New Zealand can squeeze one back, then their sails of confidence are going to be inflated. But if we can keep them out, then I'm expecting Australia to win 10 blot.
Now, well, it's coming up to the 12-minute mark or the 12-minute to the half as we watch the Kiwis set themselves for the penalty corner. And there's the ball in play now. They move it into the ring. There's a nice double play there off a foot there. Yes, it's a penalty stroke. A penalty stroke, is it, or a short corner?
I think it might be a short corner to the New Zealanders.
Almost worth a penalty stroke, a deliberate infringement with the foot inside the circle, usually as a shot of goal is taken. Of course, it's hard to say that was going to be a certain goal.
I don't think anything was untoward there by the Australians.
Fair enough, Roy.
Nothing at all. If I was calling that, I'd say good
play. On. Now the corner's set again, and the ball comes back into play. It's at the top of the D. Australia charge out. The ball's in a ping-pong position here. It's open goal. They can't quite get the shot on goal. Is now a free to Australia.
Happened? Yeah, good. Okay.
Free to Australia. So they've defused the
situation.
They've
defused it. It'll be 10 blot to Australia.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
The score in the gold medal round of the Commonwealth Games in the hockey, Australia 1, New Zealand 0. It's an attractive scoreline, Roy.
Well, so far, yeah.
And
I think it'll open up in the second half. I think you might have pointed out, HG, as they get fatigued. It's very hot and humid today, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Yeah, I've sort of got used to it, though.
Yeah,
I'm
I have
quite
too, a little
enjoying
bit,
it, yeah. Now, look, wouldn't it be great to see Frank Murray, the coach of the women's side, go out a winner? He's been such a great coach. He was coaching in Cardiff in 1952.
I'll be buggered.
And came home with Reg in the box. I mean, he's got an incredible history with coaching women's hockey. It's fantastic. And he's not leaving the sport entirely. He's hoping to get, a position in administration. So that's a terrific news.
Well, he could be a breath of common sense, couldn't he?
He certainly could. He certainly could,
Commonwealth
especially maybe put him in charge of the bids. And then go and have a look at this town that the Sri Lankan president's building.
Yes.
And, come back with a thumbs down report.
Yeah. Well, I just
Can I put you on the spot, though, on a question? And by the way, we're getting heaps of people entering the poll. Who's the funnier, Bill Woods or Brad McEwen? And we're going to tip the responses we receive here in Delhi into the poll on Delhi TV, Good Morning India, tomorrow morning, so that you'll get an idea of how it's going about, obviously, this time tomorrow. Now, can I put you on a question on notice? Is the Gold Coast the best place to have it? For instance, why not? Why not? And I just want to pick a town. Lithgow.
Yeah, well, tomorrow, let's follow this up.
Join us tomorrow for the final Shocks of Your Life.
Roy and HG on Triple M. Roy and HG on Triple M.
Oh, yes, sir. Thanks very much to my very dear friend Sunil DPP Vansaka in the All Indian Radio studios of Triple M here in the, obviously, the heart of Games Territory, New Delhi. Hello, Australia. Welcome to the Shocks of Your Life. Welcome to the final day of Triple M's continuous 24/7 coverage of the 19th Commonwealth Games. The golden shower, ladies and gentlemen, that we've alerted you to throughout the past fortnight has now filled the bath and is overflowing, creating an attractive indoor swamp. How we're going to get it back to Australia, we're not sure yet. The medal tally stands at 72 gold, 52 silver and 48 of the brown. To sum up the green and gold effort in 2010 at these games, we came to kick ass, we saw ass, we kicked it. The competition is backing away, reaching for the soothing Savlon. Two very big chances for gold underway at the moment. It looks almost certain that Australia will take gold, as reported in the news, in the men's hockey. 5-0 up at the moment with about 15 minutes to go. And then the netball against the Old Faith, the Ferns, in just over an hour's time. So it's all looking good for more golden showering action here in Delhi. And let's not forget the cock. The cock finals are underway with the blokes and the Sheilas and the doubles, followed by the one that holds my interest, the cock gold for mixed doubles. They think 1.18 billion will be watching the hockey, and those who aren't watching the hockey are now glued to the cock. So it's a magnificent achievement. We squeeze in the cock finals before the fat lady waddles on and sings, "There's no place like home." And then obviously everyone heads for the airport. As it turns out, last Stu can't waddle on and sing "There's no place like home" as she did at the Opera House because she dropped off the twig earlier this week. A very untimely collapse. Yesterday, our Hockeyroos won a nail-biter against the Ferns in a penalty shootout. The best way to put the Ferns away is a penalty shootout. And Charlene Stratton nailed a cracker from the 3-metre board to snare gold in the diving. Our other good news story really has emerged on the track and field. Our team has developed a winning attitude, according to the coach. A winning attitude, snaring 11 gold, 5 silver and 2 bronze, plus Pearso's spare, obviously in an action-packed program. Apparently, according to the coach, in our track and field, this sets us up to win a certain 15 gold on the track in London in 2012, which is great news. And even though this is the last day, we're still living the dream here in Delhi. And now a man who's been inspired by the wonderful romance of the Commonwealth Games. Games where every Aussie has won a prize. Obviously, 98.6% have won medals. The others have won prizes in another way. This man believes the Commonwealth Games are now at the front line of the Australian government's war against couch-created obesity. The government war against obesity. This is the front line. You're on it. That man is rampaging Roy Slaven. Roy, what caught your eye overnight here in Delhi? Coochie?
Yes, thank you very much, H.G. Nelson. And can I just say how proud I am to have covered these great games with you, old friend. It's quite emotional when you get towards the end of something that's been
I tell you what,
part of our lives. We've been living this Indian experience for the first time, and it's been phenomenal.
And I tell you why is you look back at the airport and when we take off in the Big Bird, we look back and think it was great, and these times may never happen again.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right.
You know, the great win of the hockey boys.
Yes, will ye never come back again, is what this ancient land is saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people have been here for a hell of a long time, HG. You've got to think back to the old Silk Road.
Oh, yes, the old Silk Road.
You know,
almost too long, really.
Almost too long, yeah. God, they love their spices here, too. I just add that as a corollary. I don't know, well, the Silk Road, the spice trade.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose there's a connection there. But I fall in love with spice, and as I mentioned yesterday, I fall in love with ghee. Put ghee and spice together, and
Are you smuggling a couple of keys back home to keep the memory alive? I'm not sure what you'd be
keys
taking.
Of what? Something...
well, a couple of keys of, say, cumin.
Oh, yes.
A couple of keys of, say...
yes.
Stick cinnamon, or whatever you call it.
Yes.
You know, not ground up, because you grind it up at home when you need it.
Yep.
And whenever you open the bag and have a big snort, it'll take you back.
It takes me back. Now, in terms of highlights, HG, world dominance in netball and hockey. Well, this is the final assault for this team. This is make or break time. This will determine whether this is a team to remember or a team to forget. When we look at our medal tally at the moment, 172, I just think, I don't know if that's quite enough.
No.
I know we're always hungry and, too much gold is never enough. I know that. But just trying to put it in perspective.
Do you see it as slipped opportunities?
Yeah, I do. I'm looking at the missed opportunities, and I don't want to bag what's been a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we do have to examine, I would suggest a root and branch analysis to see whether we have done as well as we could have done. That's all I ask. No more, no less. Matthew Mitchum misses out on diving gold. Now, see there, what went wrong?
Yeah, pet event too.
Was it the program he took on? Did he take on too much?
I think he did.
He's got to specialise just in one particular event.
Running the marathon, I think, was, the Lion of Athens.
We're not all Sally Pearsons.
No, and the Lion of Athens, he's hovering over these games.
I suppose he is.
The Lion wanted to see somebody really step up, and I think Matt took too much Lion into the...
He did.
Into the program.
Lisa Waitman wins bronze in the marathon. Well, see, there you are, bronze. Well, that's not a bad result. You look at that on paper and you think, oh, well, yeah, bronze, good on you. Yeah. Michael Shelley wins silver in the marathon. Now, I know these weren't the best conditions for running a marathon this morning. It was about, 50 degrees. Humidity 99.2%. Wasn't great circumstances, but as I say, kept saying to them, bellowing as they went past me, it's the same for everyone. You think it's easy here, standing here, watching it? It's not. Anyway, I don't know if it helped. Now, just finally, HG.
What did you say to them again?
Do you think it's easy just standing here watching you? I think the message got through. Having said that, I'm entirely supportive of the team. Now, HG, I'm attracted to this Boyd, what's being described as a Boyd dynasty. And, whenever people mention Boyds and dynasties, I always think of old Arthur Boyd.
Arthur Boyd, yeah.
And all the Boyds. To make a bit of money in art, that is visual art in Australia, it almost had to be a Boyd in the last 60, 70 years. If you didn't have Boyd as part of your name, forget it. Yeah. You're not going to, you're not going to make a living. Now, we've unearthed a Boyd dynasty in athletics, HG. We've got Alana Boyd, who won the women's pole vault. Wonderful bit of... And I only had to half close my eyes and I thought, why does she remind me of someone? It was because her father, Ray Boyd, won the pole vault in 1982. And her mother, Denise, won the 200 metres. No pole assistance. No. I don't know what she's like with a pole. But she won the 200 metres in 1978 in Edmonton. So isn't that a great story?
It is.
And it's something that should be investigated very thoroughly by the Australian Institute of Sport in association with the CSIRO under the umbrella of the Minister for Sport, Mark Arbib.
Would you like to see 60 Minutes do a probe?
I would. I would.
The Boyd dynasty.
Yeah. And what other dynasties could be created out of this team?
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Yes, Australia's just taken up by the images coming in from the hockey. Australia have gone in again. I think there's 7-0.
That looks like 7.
against the Indian.
There's chili on the stick, HG. Chili, plenty of chili on the stick. And some other spices. No, they love their spices in India.
It's a rebound off the goalie. A very poor defence there, really, from the Indian goalie.
Well, he looks as if he's lost interest.
I know. Left the ball floating in the D, and an Australian pounced on it and put it away. 7-0. I can hear the There's No Place Like Home being warmed up as we speak. By the way, that was Jimmy Barnes with Driving Wheels here on the Shocks of Your Life from New Delhi on Triple M.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
And the hockey, they were about to invoke the mercy rule, but it was all over. 8-0.
8-0. Yeah.
8-0.
Would that be the biggest winning margin in a gold medal?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. A 1-2-0 scorelines, but 2-1's a very big scoreline.
Yeah.
But 8-0, I mean, it's just devastating. That'll shock people here. And the crowd, Roy, I was surprised there were maybe 200 people at it.
Yeah, there would have been.
Would you easy? I know I saw you counting for a while there when you got bored.
Gave me something to do,
Yeah.
But, I just hope, though, these, people are going to look at that and say, oh, well, 8-0, isn't that great?
Mm-hmm.
Often it's not, because you don't train as hard, you've got to work as hard, the mountain doesn't seem as high to climb next time. And really, should have our focus on the next mountain.
You were looking at that match and you thought 14-0
was
about the right score.
Yes, I think so.
Now, speaking of the big matches, I did notice at the girls' hockey that a number of our other athletes, like Sean Rowe, mainly swimmers and track people, Sean Rowe, Eamon Sullivan and Steve Hooker came along dressed as girls, dressed as people in the hockey team. That's the women's
Steve
hockey
Hooker
team.
was one of them too.
He was, so if I didn't mention him, I meant to have mentioned him. But they seem to be,
It was a G-up of sorts.
A G-up, yes.
Look, I'm not so sure what I feel about that. Surely, did Steve Monaghetti have anything to say about it, our chef de mission?
I haven't seen anything.
No missives coming out.
I didn't talk to Steve today.
No.
Often I run, with him in the morning. Sometimes we get up to, half a marathon done.
Yes.
And we discuss the issues and so on. But today I missed it.
No.
I just thought, it's the last day. I'll break the routine. I've done pretty well.
Yeah.
Had a swim instead.
Yeah, fair enough.
I
on paper, I don't like it.
No.
I don't like it at all. It's disrespectful
Mm-hmm.
to the female competitors.
Mm-hmm.
And who thinks that's funny?
Mm.
That's what I ask myself.
You see, it's okay to rugby league do, where people historically expect men to dress as babies and women.
That's right.
As a great source of
there's nothing
entertainment.
funnier than a rugby league player in a nappy. You know that. It always gets a gale of
Big laugh.
laughter, yes.
Especially if they've got a big dummy as well, or, appropriate size dummy.
You've reminded me, yes. I'd forgotten that part of it. Yeah.
And when, it can be alluring in a weird sort of way when somebody who is very blokey puts on the lippy and rouge, the fishnets and the high heels.
And mimes to Hey Big Spender.
Correct.
Yes.
That can be funny.
That can be funny.
But, to see,
But at a Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, I just think, what are they
It's inappropriate.
You see,
who are they trying to amuse?
Exactly. Who are they trying to amuse?
Who's the audience?
Remember the Silver Bullets yesterday with the celebration after the win in the 4x400 metres?
Yes.
It had to be explained to me that they were miming cricket.
Oh, yes.
So as to get the Indians, it was a wry comment on that the Indians would rather watch cricket. So after they'd done their run, they put on this dumb show of a cricket match.
Why would they try to offend the few Indian audience that were there? That's not such a good idea either, is it? I mean, they're completely out of control, aren't they? They're out of control.
It's Mad Monday come to the Commonwealth Games, and I'm not sure that it's Mad Monday.
It's not. We're not ready for Mad Monday yet. How do our diamonds feel?
Oh, the diamonds would be devoed. See, what would be more interesting is if they went, dressed as, say, I'm trying to pick Eskimos just to take a group, which then threw attention to the plight of the Eskimos with, obviously the declining ice to live in.
Yes, well, that would be very sobering, wouldn't it?
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Now, our track star, Sally Pearson, is going to lead a hunt for the next generation of track stars.
Well, yes.
You may have flagged this the other day, but I didn't pick up on it because I didn't have time.
Yeah.
The 100 metres, obviously, winner.
Yeah.
Winner, and I use that advisedly.
Yeah.
Robbed, 100 metres hurdle winner.
Arguably a dual winner.
Yeah, arguably, yes. Double gold.
Yep.
Will join Athletics Victoria in a search for the next junior sprint star. Pearso will comb the state's schools and sports fields to wait for it, find Victoria's fastest kid. The program encourages children from all backgrounds to test themselves over 100 metres. Can I just open brackets or a shorter distance if required? Victoria's fastest kid is about experiencing the thrill of competition and track racing, PSO said, exclusively for the shocks of the life. We want kids from all sporting backgrounds and abilities to come and have a go. She said the winner could be a footballer or a netballer. It's fantastic. It's frantic. Anything can happen, and everyone on the start line has a chance. The competition involves a series of age group 100 metres races with divisions for the under 4s, under 5s, under 6s and so on. Preliminary rounds will be held at Knox Park Reserve, I think on this Sunday.
Very good.
For who can get along. Now, the reason why I raise those shorter distances is it should be for all comers. The 100 metres is a challenging distance. I remember Pat Cash, that great tennis player of a generation or so ago. He was billed as the fastest man in the world over 5 metres. I doubted this for some time until I saw, video evidence that irrefutably proved that he was faster than anybody, all comers, over 5 metres. Now, wouldn't it be great to find the next
Pat Cash.
The next Pat Cash. Or the 5-year-old Pat Cash. I just think limiting it, you're squeezing out so many great runners if you make it 100 metres.
Yeah.
It can be far too far or far too short.
Yeah.
I just hope Athletics Australia isn't blinkered, or Athletics Victoria isn't blinkered in this, and they open it up to all ages and all distances. I've got a feeling I'm pretty quick over 2 metres.
Well, some kids might feel they're great over 2 metres.
But the longer distance they're found wanting.
Yes. Yeah, no, I have no problems with that, but I just question, actually, surely Little Athletics does this every year.
I know.
What's this? Why put the stress on Sally Pearson too?
Do you know how I think it works?
And wouldn't she just go on? Wouldn't they just show the list of the times? Here are all the times, and she'd pretty well quickly work out which is the fastest time, wouldn't she? Say if you're under 4s over 4 metres, 42 seconds.
That sounds a fairly long time.
There's one here that's 1.3 seconds. So Sally would think, well, maybe this little one's the one that's...
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Roy, just a couple of emails or sections of emails to bring us home.
Yep.
Jeremy wrote, he said he noticed that all of Australia was talking about Cole's third leg in the 4x100.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was a fabulous leg, wasn't it?
It was.
That really was memorable, wasn't it?
He says it's the greatest 4x100 that the world has ever witnessed. I think he might mean the 4x400, is it?
No, the 4x100. Yeah, no, that was great. I mean, I don't think we did very well.
No.
But that third leg.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head. The commentators could not stop drawing our attention to the very attractive third leg, possibly, as you pointed out, the finest third leg you could ever see. Certainly the image of a perfectly constructed third leg will stay with the Australians.
Well, a lot of people forget about the third leg.
Yeah.
All the glamour's in the anchor leg, anchoring it.
Or first out.
You
forget the other two.
Indeed you do. And no one's more forgotten than the third legger.
What a perfect finish to the Aussie Golden Shower in front of dozens of Indian track and field fans, the attractive third leg.
Yeah.
Now, look, we look ahead
Yeah.
to, obviously, the Gold Coast in 2018, and we might be able to, how do I put this, do a bit of give people, flesh the tease out, the 2018 bid in tomorrow's Life.
Yes.
Which we're presenting from New Delhi, obviously, before we get on the plane to come back on the weekend.
That's right.
And to see where we're up to with the bid, because there's a lot going on with our bid. But a couple of ideas to come in already. Dave, he says, with 8 short years to go until Gold Coast 2018.
That's the right attitude.
Dave's right on it.
Yeah.
Should we be thinking about demonstration sports? Dave wants to suggest the AFL be one of them.
Oh, that's
Australia
good.
be a shoo-in for the gold medal, and it could be just the leg up the game needs onto the global stage.
That's not bad, is it?
I tell you what, if they'd had it here, imagine the enthusiasm.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
I could have seen a crowd maybe top 1,000, because I would have had to put it in a big venue.
Yeah.
Now, Richard, our regular correspondent in Adelaide, in Hyde Park in Adelaide, says relocate the Gold Coast Games to Sydney and use the NRL Grand Final as the opening ceremony. Or should I say ceremony?
For the, what a brilliant idea.
It is. It's full of great ideas.
Wow. Wouldn't the world sit up and take notice then? The Rugby League Grand Final.
India will boycott the games in protest so Australia is guaranteed gold in all the shooting events.
Why would India boycott it?
Wow.
Are they anti-rugby league?
Well,
I don't think so. They've never been tested on that.
I know. But keep that as dry powder for tomorrow. It becomes a win-win situation and a tight fit to show the world Australia punches well above its weight in sport and major events, and more importantly, it's an opportunity to spread rugby league among Commonwealth countries. But wouldn't it be great? Because obviously this year you had You Am I with that tribute to the Stones. You had Justice Crew, Jessica Malboy, the helicopter that came in and did a 360.
Yeah.
And, obviously, I was going to say the lighting of the flame, but it doesn't go like that. Here's another one. James has suggested we could tie in the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games with Schoolies Week.
Oh, that's a great idea too. The Rugby League Grand Final and Schoolies Week. I tell you what I'd like to add to that, is wood chopping.
Oh,
get Big Dave Foster out of
swinging
retirement, swinging the axe.
Gee, the chips would fly.
As a demonstration, I mean, that'd be gold. We'd have to get gold there. And there might be a bit of a dynasty there. I've got a feeling one of Dave's Chips might be an axeman.
Oh, I'm sure that's the case.
Yeah.
Oh, a dynasty.
Yeah, dynasty.
You just suggested that.
Yeah.
Yes. He says, this is James, continues with the idea of demonstration sports, pissed out of your brain diving. He thinks might be a very good sport to add into the mix. So people are already thinking about 2018.
Yes.
And have you seen the Sri Lankan president at all? And does he look as though he's...
he's carrying the bid for Sri Lanka, isn't he?
Yeah.
No, look, I haven't seen him. I wanted to. I wanted to just have a quick chat with him to see, maybe the direction in which the bid's going to take, with a view to, getting a bit of ammunition to forearm the Anna Bligh and her team.
Now, in a parallel universe, did I see that FFA Australia has roped in Ian Thorpe to somehow front a movie that is going to help our bid for the 2022 World Cup of football?
I had not heard that.
It's
but that's
a star-studded
idea, though.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Because he's known wherever you go.
Wherever you go.
People ask us, firstly, you're Australian? We say yes. Secondly, do you know Ian Thorpe?
Yes.
Sadly, I say, well, I've met him, but I don't know him very well.
Don't know him terribly well, no.
And then they quiz you about Thorpe.
How big are his feet?
Yeah, thanks. That's exactly right.
Roy and HG on Triple M.
Countdown. I think it's about 5 minutes to go to the netball.
Yes, 5 minutes, 15 seconds, HG.
Isn't that great? It's the obviously the grudge match between the Ferns and the Aussie Diamonds.
How long have they been Diamonds?
Well, we've raised this before.
Yeah.
We're not terribly happy with the name. No,
yet.
then it's not a good name. It's not a good name. They should be something, like the Aussie, red-blooded black snakes or something like that, which is an uncompromising name, or something that, I mean, the Ferns, that's pretty ordinary, but up against the Diamonds, it's just sort of starting to, not talking to kids. No. Now, look, just before we leave tonight, it was the psychological and physical darkness that preceded it that made the view from the gold dais so special for Jared Bannister yesterday. This is Craddock writing for the Murdoch people.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that brilliant? It was the psychological and physical darkness that preceded it that made the view from the gold medal dais so special for Jared Bannister yesterday. Jared, of course, as you'll remember, was our javelin thrower. Yeah. And in a way, I mean, it's neat that we come back to a javelin thrower to end the shocks of your life, because Reg Spears, the bloke who sent himself home in the box from the Cardiff games, hovers, I think, over the coverage here. It's an unspoken thing. People aren't going around saying, love the Reg T-shirt, stuff like that, because they're not. No, they're not. But, the Lion of Athens and Reg hover over the games here.
As does Dame Joan.
Well, Dame
Last
Joan.
stupendous with us here as well.
It's a trinity, really, isn't it?
It is.
Now, the Townsville raised Bannister became the first Australian man in 55 years. Could that be right? 56 years, is it?
56 years, yeah.
To win the game's javelin in a performance so comprehensive that he recorded the best three throws of the competition.
I'll be buggered.
Best three throws of the competition. Despite having to be administered with pain-killing injections for a bad back to get through the final, Bannister took the lead with the opening throw and was never headed. Just to make sure he increased the advantage from 79.11 to 80.12. Then he finished off with an 81.71 to join, obviously, James at Church in 54 and Alf Mitchell in 62 as the only Australians to win the event since the games began in 1930.
God almighty, I tell you what, couldn't Alf Mitchell throw?
He could. Uncompromising style.
Oh, it was an unforgiving style.
I know.
He nearly killed a few stewards when he was a little bit wayward.
Oh, he did. He did. I mean,
You know.
he just used to shout out, "Look out,
Yeah.
buddy, it's coming in."
Yeah. That's right.
Now,
That's right. No, Alf Mitchell, he was a cruel man. He was a cruel man with the javelin, wasn't he?
cruel, yeah.
He was known as
Mr. Cruel.
Mr. Cruel.
Look, it was
Cruel
more than-
Hand Luke.
It was that
type.
weird way he approached the what I'd call the foul line, bum on, and then spun around at the last moment. You know, using a discus-like
I know.
whip
I know.
lash. And
A lot of people thought, "Hello, why is he coming in without his javelin?"
Yeah,
I thought, we're here to watch. Oh!
exactly.
Suddenly it's coming at you.
Yeah.
Because he had absolutely no control of direction.
The thing that disarmed people was the attractive nature of his rear end, and so when that approached the foul line,
Yes.
people were sort of mesmerised.
They were.
And that weird combination of a discus spin and the conventional javelin throw
Yes.
caught a lot. But of course, as you point
That
out, very
odd
wayward.
duck-footed.
Yeah,
You know, he's like a crab coming in. You know, you didn't know top from bottom. You know,
Now,
there was
after-
something. A lot of people thought he was coming in on his hands.
Well, you know, you only have to squint and you see Tony Abbott. You know, that weird way he walks, splay-footed.
That's true. I wondered who he reminded him of. You're dead right. It's Alf Mitchell.
Now,
He reminds me of Alf Mitchell. You're dead right. And like Alf, you don't know which direction anything's going in, do you?
absolutely, or where he's going to turn. Jared's victory was a hard-edged toil as much as talent. In fact, some people say he's got no talent for the javelin. For Bannister's path to the top of the podium took many unnerving detours. For the past 2 years, Bannister has spent much of his time recuperating from 4 operations and living half the time in the coma. 2 of his throwing elbows and 1 of each on each ankle. Sitting on the couch with the elbows and feet raised, waiting for his body to heal, was a psychological challenge as much as a physical one. And then came the competition night when Bannister's bad back flared. Basically, from warm-ups out, I was in pain the whole way. I just had to sort of bite on a piece of leather and hold on. Disappointing because I was in such good shape. I had a couple of throws out. I had a couple of throws out the back. Then the first injection didn't work, so I had to have another one. And that didn't work, so I had to just hold on. Now, I don't know that this is obviously a good story of Australian courage from a person who shouldn't be throwing the javelin, obviously.
That's what the body's telling him.
The body's
Please
screaming.
don't throw.
Yeah, screaming, Roy. Screaming. It's in pain. But you would have to say this was a performance-enhancing.
Arguably, yes.
Yes.
And that might be something for another day, HG.
Roy and HG on Triple M.